Hello, beautiful people of God. I pray you guys are having an amazing day. Something I want to share with you guys. I don't think we're going to be on here very long on tonight. It is something that I was thinking about, and I didn't want to use this as my Sunday teaching. It's something that was on my heart ever since I've seen this video, and I wanted to talk to you guys about it. So I thought about the fact that on Sundays I typically like to talk about things that are a little bit more meaty. Not saying that everything that I teach on Sundays is meat, but a little bit more meaty than relationships. I think that a lot of relationship topics are, um, I could say, fall within the milk rim or what have you. And so I'm saying all of that to say this is a pop up. I usually don't go live on. I usually don't go live on Saturday nights, as you know. I will still be going live on tomorrow. However, I decided to go live because I wanted to talk about this particular video. I think it's going to be good. I know it's going to be good. And guess what? One of the things I want to start doing, and this is just small talk as you're coming into the room. One of the things I want to start doing, and I got to learn how to do that via StreamYard. I do want to start inviting some of you guys on camera on YouTube. Facebook, I won't be able to do it because StreamYard, I don't know. Maybe I could. We'll see. But inviting some of you guys on camera to hear your thoughts, answer your questions, and stuff like that. But we will see later. Hello. Come on in the room. Do me a favor. Be sure to like and share. This is something that I think that like single women, we got to talk. We have got to talk. One of the areas that I'm called to is relationships, but not just relationships, but relationship. And when I say relationship, I'm talking about the relationship that we have with God. You cannot have a healthy relationship with another person without having a healthy relationship with God. Or you can't have healthy relationships with other people, be it your mother, your dog, your daughter, your cat, your goldfish, your significant other, your insignificant other, your friend, your bestie. You can't have a healthy relationship with any human being outside of having a healthy relationship with God. Now, there is a such thing as having an unhealthy relationship with God, and I don't think we talk about that enough. An unhealthy relationship with God, well, God's end is going to be healthy to you. An unhealthy relationship with God will look like unrealistic expectations. It will look like you disregarding the law of sowing and reaping. It will look like you having all of these demands and these fantasies and thoughts as it relates to God and not wanting to do your part. That's what an unhealthy relationship with God would look like. But there's a video I want to share. I want to share with you guys. I posted it to my Instagram, and when I posted it, in all out honesty, I felt conflicted. I'm gonna be real transparent. When I posted it, I felt conflicted because the lady, everything she said, I agree with. Everything she said, I agree with. But I started thinking about context. I don't know why I'm getting hot. I started thinking about context. So I keep water over here. Give me a second, guys. Sorry. Maybe I shouldn't have cut that fan off. But I started thinking about when I posted it to Instagram. Let me say this. When I posted it, normally I get more interaction on a post that I post. This one didn't get as much interaction, which told me that a lot of the women that viewed that were probably offended, or they didn't understand, they needed context, or they didn't agree. So I'm going to share this video with you guys. But one of the things that when I share this video, it's kind of long, and it's a married woman. A little context behind it: she's been married for 15 years. Her and her husband are popular on TikTok. I think they have probably over 1 million followers. Sister Angela, thank you. God bless you, beautiful. I think they have over a million followers. Her story is similar to mine in the retrospect, where she's been married twice, and she's married for the third time. Now, I've been married twice. I'm not married for the third time yet, but the guy she's with now is her person. It's very clear. That's her person. Not only is that her person, like I said, they've been married for 15 years. Her two divorces happened when she was in her 20s, from what I took from the message or what have you. But she was trying to minister to single women. And a lot of the single women were rebuttal. They were rebutting what she was saying. Like, they were coming against what she was saying. So she spoke in so much passion. Now, one thing about passion is that passion will make you feel like people are going off on you, right? A lot of times I can come in here, if you start talking to me about certain things, especially when it comes to leadership, You saw me on, I think, the last video. I got really passionate about the whole concept of deliverance and, whether or not to charge for deliverance and stuff like that. I get passionate because it's frustrating when I see people having this mindset as it relates to the body of Christ, when it relates to God's leaders, because I've said this before, Black people kill their leaders. And I'm not saying every Black person, I'm saying in the Black community, it's a thing because there's a lot of unrealistic expectations when it comes down to leadership. There's a lot of unrealistic expectations, what have you. So when I go to talking about that, you're going to hear passion that comes out of me. So in this, you're going to hear this lady talking. I'm going to play the video in a minute, but you're going to hear her talking in passion because this is something that obviously is a call on her life. Not only is a call on her life, she has experience in this area. And typically, whenever you see passion, the frustration isn't just that people are getting it wrong. And I need you to hear me. The frustration is that they are destroying themselves. See, one thing I've learned about the love of God is that it will reach people that you don't even know. You get frustrated when you watch people destroy themselves. You get frustrated when you watch people hinder themselves with their ways of thinking, with their ideologies, or what have you. There's a way that seems right to a man, but the end thereof is death. You get really frustrated in that. So I'm just letting everybody come in, and I'm going to share the video really shortly. No worries. I'm going to share the video really shortly. So this is something that single women, we have to talk about. What is this? All right. I got to learn the StreamYard thing. But this is something that single women, we need to talk about. And I want to hear you guys' opinion. This is a long video. I'm kind of just talking, letting people come into the room because I don't want people coming in on the middle of it. So do me a favor, go ahead and do that like and share thing. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, subscribe or what have you before I share this video. So in this video, she's pretty much, I don't want to say she's going off. It's her and her husband. And they're literally reading. They're talking about the single market and the mindset or what have you. I'm trying to let the numbers go up a little bit more. Facebook. Thank you guys for coming in. But do me a favor, be sure to like and share. I'm going to go to my Instagram page. I'm going to pull this video up. So get yourself ready. It is a long video. It is a long video. So my apologies for that. I'm probably not going to play the thing in its entirety, even though I feel like the entire video is good. I'm trying to let the numbers get up to 200 people up in the room. And then I'm going to hit, I'm going to hit share. We had 194. Do me a favor, Facebook. Let me get everybody that's on Facebook to hit the like and the love button. I can see you on StreamYard. Okay, so let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and play the video for you because we're at 200 people right now. Oh.
You paying for
Hold on.
Well, you ain't paying for a man. You paying for peace for one. Because this is the one thing I believe in. If I pay for somebody, if I pay for a meal, and one thing you can never say about me, I use you.
Okay, Sherelle, how long have you been married? You're a homeowner independent. Hell, I was a homeowner and independent with 2 kids when I married my kid. What does that have to do with it? I'm not sure. I think, and this is one of the problems that I have just as a woman who's been married for 15 years. Ain't any of y'all can chime in. Single, married for 30-something years, or what? Look. And let me talk to my black women for a minute, because Sherelle, I don't know if you're black or white, but baby, I want you to tune into this, okay? See, the problem that I have with a lot of women, black, white, Asian, Ethiopian, Asian, I don't care who you are, is the fact that you bring all of these freaking requirements to the table, but you don't bring honor, you don't bring respect, you don't bring the opportunity to grow with somebody. You're always looking to receive something as opposed to give something. And that is why a lot of these marriages don't work out. It's because a woman is always looking for something. Can you guys partner with these men to bring out the best in them and they bring out the best in you? And then so many people talk about there aren't any good men out here. Well, hell, there ain't no good women out here. Especially from what I see on this thread here, just having this conversation. Y'all discuss me, and I'm a woman, and I'm a black woman who has been married 3 times, and I understand that I was a common denominator. And when some of y'all grow up to realize and understand that, I think that you will begin to have better relationships, better conversations, a better understanding of what respect, what honor, and all of that looks like in a relationship. But until y'all change your mindset, y'all gonna be out here like Sherelle said, I'm a homeowner, I'm independent, and by yourself.
Period. Because So when we say it's okay to pay for a dinner, we're not telling you to take care of a man. We ain't saying take care of a man.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying take care of him. Y'all grow together.
Well, what are you gonna do? What's gonna happen? See, this is the thing. If you won't even pay for a meal now, when did that man fall on hard times when y'all are in a marriage and he needs your support? What do you do then? See, and let me tell you two primary examples for us.
Matt, go back and watch it, okay? You'll understand. I'm not mad. I'm passionate. I'm passionate, Matt.
But let me tell you this. When my wife met me, yes, I was a young college student, 24 years old. Didn't know nothing about me now. Ask my wife what did she find out about me 8 months into us knowing each other or dating.
That's when I found out that my husband had owned his own property in Memphis, Tennessee since he was 21 years old.
How many
At that time, when I met him at the age of 24, my husband owned 6 rental properties in Memphis. He was an undergrad in Hattiesburg, Mississippi at the University of Southern Miss where I met him. He was in the military, in the reserve, had already served 2 tours overseas, I didn't find out any of this about Joaquin until 6 to 9 months after we were dating. I didn't know what his finances looked like the first time he ever took me out. So it wasn't like I'm in this to try to get this man to take care of me and to do this and to do that. I was in a mind.
I think that's enough. I think that's enough. So for those of you who are just coming in that didn't get a chance to see the entire video, if you want to watch the video, you can wait for this replay to come up, or you can go to my Instagram page. I posted that video to my Instagram page. I'm not going to be able to run it back because it is a relatively long video, and it would be unfair to the people that had to sit there and listen. Not to had to sit there and listen because it was a really good video, but it made me start thinking because I posted it to my Instagram. And I know my interaction on Instagram or what have you. I haven't been that great when it comes to Instagram. I haven't been like diligent in posting. I haven't had really like a passion for Instagram. I'm trying to develop that, but I haven't really had a passion for Instagram. But I noticed the interaction when I posted that video was a lot lower than what I ordinarily get. And I noticed that the engagement was higher from men, but it was lower from women. It was higher for men, but it was lower for women. So the women, it made me start thinking about what it is that women want, what it is that women expect. I also started thinking about some of the stuff I taught as it relates to being single, some of the stuff I taught, and I started thinking about whether or not some people may have misconstrued what I've said. Because maybe when I posted this may seem to conflict or what have I didn't know. But I thought about it. I said, I want to come out and I want to talk about it. And I want to have interaction with you tonight because this is not my normal posting. Ordinarily, I don't post, I don't go live on a Saturday night. You guys know what it is. This is not gonna be my Sunday morning, my Sunday evening teaching. I'm still gonna come live on tomorrow. Like I said, this is more of a baby topic or what have you, but it's something that needs to be talked about. So one of the things that I wanted to ask you first and foremost, this is I expect interaction. Do me a favor, be sure to like and share. I would love to interact with you. I would love to, I got to figure out how to bring y'all on camera from time to time. So my question is this. How do you first and foremost define partnership? I want to get 5 women to answer. What is your definition of a partnership, or do you agree with the concept of partnership? And it has to be brief. It has to be brief. What is your definition? Because when she said, will you ladies partner with these men, there was a trigger in me where I started thinking, well, I don't think a lot of women understand what that means. I don't think that a lot of women understand the concept of partnership. I don't think a lot of women understand what she's saying because we've talked about partnership on this channel. We've talked about our roommates on this channel, right? The type of guy that says, give me 50-50 or what have you. I'm wondering if women are thinking along those lines. So I'm kind of curious. Reciprocity, that's good. Good communication, that's good. I'm waiting to see, like, what are people thinking? Because I could tell that a lot of women didn't receive this well. I received it well because I know what it takes to have a healthy marriage or what have you. Purpose, partner, that's good. That's a business transaction for me. See, right. And so that's what I wanted to address. I think a lot of women were thinking along that line. Okay. So I'm going to start here. I believe this wholeheartedly. I got into business. I became an entrepreneur probably back in 2007, about 2007, 2000, yeah, about 2007. That's when I first, but I had my job at the time. I became a full-time entrepreneur maybe in 2009. Build together, the communication, mind of Christ, partnerships work together and help each other is where there's equal exchange of effort, die to self and grow together, mind of Christ, purpose partner, business transaction. So there's two different types of partnerships. And one thing I came to realize is that some people misunderstand the concept of partnership. If you say, ladies, will you partner? And I think a lot of women that got upset with her for what she was saying, I think that there's a misunderstanding as it relates to what partnership is. A lot of times we hear it based on our experiences, we hear it based on our trauma. And so I think just going here, I started in business officially full time 2009 is when I got full time into a business or what have you. 2008 I had a business and I decided to get a partner. I've told this story before. I decided to get a partner in my business, and me getting a partner in business had everything to do with my insecurities. God's favorite, thank you, God bless you, beautiful. It had everything to do with my insecurity. So at this particular time, I was in my Snow White phase. I had done a lot of business, and this 2008. I was still working a traditional job, but I was still doing business. And I had so many great customers. This is when I started working with the church. Before then, I used to work with the secular world. So I transitioned into working with the church. And I didn't know how to work with the church. In the secular world, you can cuss people out. In the secular world, you can say stuff, you can say what's on your mind, you can set the record straight, or what have you. And realistically speaking, many cases, because I was working with rappers, they would not get mad. They would just say, I get it. Oh man, okay, you had to do that to me. You had to do me like that, short. Okay, or what have you. It was not a big deal. So I had to try to learn how to deal with a different type of people, right? And so I found that I have more offensive people coming out of the church world. I found, y'all, I want you to listen to this with your heart. I pray that you sit back and you really pay attention to this. I know you might be frying chicken or what have you, but I pray you listen to this. When I transitioned to working from the world to working with the church, it was not an easy transition because one, church folks, these are God's people. I was a babe in Christ. And at the same time, I was like, you can't really yell at these people. That's how I felt. Because this is what we're supposed to be moving in love, Christianity, Christ, doing all this other stuff. That's how I felt. And so I found more manipulative people when I started working with the church. God bless you. God this. Oh, I got a prophetic word. I found more manipulative people, and I didn't know how to navigate that space. I didn't know how to navigate that space because at that time I didn't know who to turn to. I had started playing around with doing logos, and I was designing logos. Hey, Black Diamond, I love you. God bless you, beautiful. God bless you. So I ended up meeting this girl, and we'll call her, I keep thinking of names and I know people with those names. We'll call her Yolanda. I know people named Yolanda, but I ain't heard from them in years. Okay. But we'll call her Yolanda. Yolanda had reached out to me to order a logo, and this has everything to do with that video. We're gonna talk about it, but she reached out to me to order a logo from me, and at this time, I had dealt with. If you ever followed my story, I had worked with this pastor lady. This lady claimed to be a pastor, and that lady had gave me hell. Like that was the most traumatic experience I had had working with anybody in my life. I had never had somebody that not only did she try to latch on to me, she told me to put my name on her website. She had hired me to do her website. Told me that the Lord said it was my time to leave my church and that I was called to go under her, what have you. Thankfully, and she sent me an evangelistic certificate in the mail saying I was an evangelist. I gave my address. I let this woman call me every day. Woman used to blow up my phone, right? She would just blow up my phone. I've been finished with her website, but she would never sign off on it. She would always ask for like 2 more changes or 3 more changes or what have you. She was like, oh yeah. And I'll make the changes that she wants. She said, oh, it's perfect. But it's just a few more things I want you to make some adjustments to. And she would do that. So she was doing it to hold on to me. She was doing it to keep me from going away because she knew that once the transaction was done, I could wash my hands of her. Well, What ends up happening with this woman is she becomes too controlling, says she'll pay for me to have a divorce, even though I never said anything negative. I was a newlywed at the time. It was just too traumatic. And not only that, it was just too much yelling. She was always yelling. She was just aggressive. After having that encounter with her and that experience with her, during the time when I was dealing with her, I was afraid to raise my voice at a leader. Because, I grew up in Mississippi. We were taught high level honor. We were taught like respect your elders, respect the people in authority, all of that stuff. And so, because I had so much love and respect for my own pastor, when she said she was a pastor, automatically I gave that respect towards her. I gave her respect. So, in a sense, she was cultivating or trying to turn me into an Ahab. And I'm just sitting up on the phone, just trying to figure out how do I navigate through that? How do I navigate through, her aggression? How do I navigate through her attitude? How do I navigate through all of these emotional tantrums that she keep having? How do I navigate through her telling me she's gonna pay for me to get a divorce because me and her got work to do? And how all these African men, all they want to do is keep you barefoot and pregnant and all of the negatives. How do I navigate? How do I navigate through? How do I finish her website and go ahead and give her the passwords and get her to leave me alone? How do I navigate through that? I didn't fare well in that because I didn't feel like I had anybody to talk to about it. Now I could have talked to my pastor, but I just didn't feel like that was a good idea. I didn't feel like I had anybody to talk to. So I just kept feeling like if I finish her website, if I go ahead and do this, then she'll go away. Long story short, at the end of that, this lady ends up stalking me for a couple of years, right? I'm talking about I had to block her number. I kept blocking her on Facebook, blocking her email. She emailing me all kinds of narcissistic, crazy stuff, threatening to come to my hometown. All of that, all because she wanted to control me. It had nothing to do with the website because the website had been done. She had already signed off, but then she would just keep asking for changes. She'll say, oh, I was looking at it and I think, go add this board member and go add this, go add that. Oh, I'm gonna make, I want to add another page. She would never sign off on it, which was a mechanism of control. So long story short, after I came out of that experience, I had this lady's number blocked. She would send me friend requests on Facebook with all these weird names and what have you. And I would accept the people. And then, at some point, God would lay on my heart to remind me these different emails that she had emailed me from. So I would go to my email address. I would copy and paste her email address to Facebook. I would always find her on my friends list without a picture up or what have you. It would be a fake page. She did this for about 2 years. For about 2 years, I had to deal with this woman. So long story short, after that really traumatic experience with me being a babe in Christ, I ended up meeting this girl. We're calling her Yolanda. Yolanda ordered a logo from me. The transaction was fine. It was good. It was peaceful, peaceable, all that beautiful stuff. And I was like, and I was talking to her, and somehow, she ends up telling me that she used to, be in business for herself. I think she said she sold soaps and this, that, and the other. And we ended up talking, and then the conversation went into an hour, went over an hour. We were just talking on the phone. So I ended up telling Yolanda, what I had just gone through. And she was like, yeah, it couldn't have been me. See, I don't play that kind of stuff. The more I talked to Yolanda, I felt like, okay, she had business sense. So she talked about, being in business. She was like, the only reason she shut her business down was because of something. All of that stuff. I started feeling like Yolanda knew more about business than me. I wanted to stay Snow White. I didn't want to grow. Honestly, I didn't want to grow. I just wanted to I wanted to keep dealing with my nice customers, and I wanted to give Yolanda the bad ones because she was like, oh, I wish it had been me. Right. So I felt like, oh, she'd be perfect. So I brought her on as a partner, an equal partner in my business. Bad move. Bad move. I brought her on because I was really trying to use her as a pit bull. I'm gonna call it what it is. I was trying to use her, not just use her because I felt like I could help her as well. My business was thriving, my business was growing, so I felt like I can bring her on, and what I lacked, she could take care of that end or what have you. So I brought her on as an equal partner. Why am I sharing it now? And let me end that story. In the end, I ended up having to cut ties with her professionally because the day that our business launched, I had shut my website down. My website that advertised me doing websites, that advertised me doing logos and all that. I shut it down and rebuilt a whole new website for our business. Yolanda she had no web design skills, didn't know how to use Photoshop, didn't know how to do. The only thing that she had was her attitude. That's it. I bought her in for her attitude. Transparency. I bought her in for her attitude. Well, how many of you know that that attitude ended up turning towards me? So we declared an official start date. We made this declaration. This is going to be our official start date and all of that. So we had the I had the website up, all this stuff, and then finally, Yolanda happens to somebody ends up hiring me, and I'm still learning websites, still doing this. Somebody ends up hiring me, and I did. He was like, "Hey, I want my website built on Wix," and I was using Tripod at the time to build websites. So he was like, "I want my website built on Wix." I had never tried Wix before, but I went over there, I played with it, and no, matter of fact, he had told me that I had already built a website on Wix. From because of that guy, I had already built a website on Wix, but somebody else hired me to do them a Wix site. I did another Wix site. I probably did a few websites, and this person's website to me was a bomb. It was a bomb diggity fresh. But to me, that website was off the chain, right? I'm looking at this website. I done learned all these new skills. We had a few days, a couple of days before me and Yolanda's website was supposed to officially launch. So I decided to surprise her because you can go and edit a website and it's still gonna look the same on the front end, but when you hit publish is when the change is made. So what I did was I went on the back end. I think I'm doing a good thing, right? I think I'm doing something great. I go on the back end, I make all these changes to the website. I'm genuinely thinking that she's gonna love it. Genuinely, wholeheartedly thinking that she's gonna scream. Now, mind you, I had already sent her like the stuff that she needed so that she could start. I had my little Photoshop and all that. I sent everything to her so she can practice. So I told her her assignment at that time, her job at that time was just to learn. Ask me questions just to learn. Just go and practice or what have you. So I ended up the day of our grand launch, I hit publish. I hit publish in the middle of the night, thinking that she's gonna wake up, she's gonna look at the website, and she's gonna love it. And she's gonna be like, OMG. That's what I was thinking. That was the thought I had in my head. Well, spoiler alert, it didn't turn out that way. Whenever I called her the next day, she didn't answer the phone. I was like, okay, she'll call me when she's available. I remember going to visit another one of my friends. I was in her parking lot when Yolanda called me. I answered the phone and I said, hey girl. She's like, hey. And I was like, oh, I'm talking in an excited tone. I said, did you see the website? I saw it. And I was surprised because I was expecting her to say, OMG, girl, yes, that's next level. Oh my gosh. She was like, yeah, I saw it. And that's when she started going off on me. She was like, um, this is a partnership. You're not supposed to make any adjustments to this business without first consulting with me. What? And this is our first day in business, right? This is the first day that all this is our first official day. She was like, you don't make changes to anything without first consulting with me. And this you have to understand that this is like a marriage. Now, in a way, she was right because partnership, you are supposed to consult with one another. But in my head, she wasn't where I was yet as far as development and design. I told her, don't focus on design right now. Go focus on learning. She didn't want to focus on that. Instead, Yolanda seemed to become obsessed with controlling me. She seemed to become obsessed with controlling me. Why? Because I had made her a 50-50 equal partner in a business that she didn't have any skill. She didn't have anything that she could bring to the table. Why am I sharing this? I want to share with you, there are different types of partnerships. That was a partnership where people own equal shares in a business. That's one type of partnership. There's another type of partnership, and we get it back to the video. If you haven't watched the video, like I said, you can go to Anointedfire on Instagram. You can watch the video, or what have you. And it's a lady, going off or what have you, what she just passionately sharing, a lesson to single women along with her husband. But there's another type of partnership that you can do with people, and this partnership will look like I own my business. I have a publishing company. No, I'll give a better example. I went to Chick-fil-A today. I went there specifically to get soup. They have their soup just came back out. Their soup is good, it's healthy, it's all that stuff. Last time I went on a soup diet with them. I was going to that there almost every day. I lost 10 pounds. I think within like a month I had lost 10 pounds. They got there's this soup. I forgot the name of it. I don't I forgot the name of it. Anywho, I went there to get this soup today. I asked for extra tortilla, which I probably shouldn't have, but I asked for extra tortilla. I don't know where they get their tortilla from, but they have in a Chick-fil-A bag. 9 times out of 10, they don't have a factory for the tortilla. Nine times out of 10, they're getting it from a third party vendor. Nine times out of 10, because this isn't something that's year long, this is something that they do seasonally. So nine times out of 10, they are working with a company to get their Sister Leslie, thank you. God bless you, beautiful. Nine times out of 10, they're working with a third party vendor. Nine times out of 10. That means that the third party vendor is a partner, but they don't own any shares in the business. That is a partner, but that partner doesn't own any shares in that business. So this is to say there is a partnership where a person can own. You can have a business and the person own 30% of your business, 10% of your business. They can own 50% of your business. They can own 70%, and that would make it their business or what have you. 50% would make it y'all's business. There are different types of partnerships. When this lady started talking about partnering, I started thinking to myself, a lot of the women, I hear what this woman is saying. I wholeheartedly agree with her, wholeheartedly. Like she didn't say not one thing. Yeah, the tortilla said, thank you. She didn't say not one thing that was off. She didn't say not one thing that was wrong. But a lot of women responded negatively. And I started thinking, I think the problem with a lot of women is they genuinely don't understand. A lot of women are thinking when you say partnership, you're thinking 50-50. When she said, why don't you partner with these men or what have you, you're thinking 50-50. When they start talking about a woman paying for a bill, you start thinking, oh, yep, nah, paying for the bill. I'm talking about the lunch bill or what have you. I started thinking about some of the stuff I talked about. And I wanted to make sure I give context because I want to make sure you guys understand because there is an erroneous way of thinking that can keep you outside of God's will. And you're not going to find the right man outside of God's will, realistically speaking. And you can actually sit there and you can be locked outside of God's will with your pride. And eventually you're going to get tired of waiting on God and you're going to go out there and get your own man because you are locked outside of God's will with your pride and you will get a man that's outside of God's will. And so my objective, my assignment, my goal here is to make sure that you have the right way of thinking and take this, put it before the feet of God or what have you. It is so good. It is good. But take this and put it before the feet of God because I want to make sure that you understand. So first and foremost, let's talk about lunch. I've talked about it on this channel before. If a man reaches out to me and he says, hey, Tiff, let's go to lunch sometime. I'd like to take you on a date. And I said, okay, cool. And we go out to lunch and he looks at me and he says, he looks at the waiter, he says 2 tickets. Or he says, Dutch, he would never, okay, never in his life have to worry about taking me out again, ever, ever. Because when men take you out on a date, they're demonstrating their ability to provide. Now, I want to make this clear. Follow me all the way through with this. Don't just hear this, but they're demonstrating their ability to provide. Sister Cece, you are so amazing. Thank you, beautiful. God bless you. They are demonstrating their ability to provide. However, somebody say, however, if I'm talking to a guy and we've been going out to lunch and he's carrying the bill, there will be times where I look and say, hey, I got the bill. If we're talking and we're getting to know each other, what have you, I'm not going to always say you pick the bill because you're the dude. Now, if he's inviting me out, that's just normal. That's traditional. That's just normal. But let's say that we created a pattern, like every weekend we go out. Every weekend, every Saturday he takes me somewhere, and then we always kind of finalize that with dinner, right? And we're in a restaurant. I will look up and say, "Hey, I got the tab. You paid for it the last time. I got the tab." If I call him up and yes, cheesecake, you can say Cheesecake Factory. But if I call him up and I say, hey, we're not going out this weekend because usually you call me by Thursday and ask me where we're going Saturday. He says, well, I had to pay some bills this week, so rain check for next Saturday. I said, rain check my tail. I'm taking you out. Rain check my tail. I got you. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? In that's called partnership because what I'm doing is I'm helping. And I was talking to somebody about that. I said this is similar to what I did with my ex. And this is the thing that he said made him want to marry me. He said this is the day that he realized that he was going to marry me. He was living in another country. And what he used to do, he would buy calling cards to call me. And he was in school. He was a college student. He was in school. I was working at AT&T or what have you. And he would buy all these calling cards to call me. One day we were talking and we were getting off the phone. And I said, I don't remember what I asked him. I said, because I'm going to call you, I can call you too. And he got quiet. I said, yeah, I'm going to get some calling cards so I can call you too. And he was like, thank you. So I started buying calling cards. I was asking him like, what's the best website to buy calling cards and stuff like that, to call out the country and all that other stuff. He said, baby, it was that day I knew I will marry this girl. I shall marry this girl. This girl is, this girl is, oh, what have you. I thought about something. One of the leaders at my church, he was talking about his wife. And he was saying that the day he decided that he knew that they were friends, that he was going to marry her, he said they went out to eat or something like that. And he said he didn't have any money. And she slipped the card under the table for him to pay for the meal with her. And I said, it's funny, I did that when I was married. So what I'm trying to express to you is that there's a difference between being a 50-50 partner, which is just a roommate, versus somebody having a partnership. So you look at the model of the 50-50, the person, that the lady that I had like 50-50, anyway, it couldn't be 50-50 because she didn't know half as much as I do. She just was more obsessed with controlling how I did a thing rather than learning. I would check on her learning all the time and say, hey, what have you learned so far? I mean, I've been working with a little bit, and what have you? I started getting annoyed because I started realizing that, hey, we're not equal share partners. And so she got the role of 50%, but she's not doing the work of 50%. And I started realizing that, Tiffany, you had a good thing before her. Like, you literally just brought somebody in. And eventually I reached out to her and I was like, hey, I think we need to dissolve this or what have you. This by the time I moved to Germany, I was like, hey, we're gonna have to dissolve this. Because it's not going anywhere. She was like, yeah. I said, because you haven't helped me out in I don't know how long. And she said, yeah, that day when we had that conversation, I just lost interest. She told me that. And this was her first day in business. She literally quit. She didn't quit with her mouth. She literally just quit. When I told her I had did the website and I published it, her first day, 50-50 partnerships in marriage do not work. They're not healthy. 50-50 partnerships in marriage. It should never, ever, ever. I'll say this. I think the better way of saying is this: define define partnerships are very hard in marriage. Marriage defines itself. Your relationship with one another defines itself. Whenever a man specifically says 50-50, you got a problem because that's a roommate and that's a dude that doesn't respect you. I'm going to call it what it is. That's a roommate and that's a guy that doesn't respect you. But when you're married, there is an aspect to partnership, right? And sometimes it's very similar to relationships. It's similar to a friendship. In a friendship, you can have somebody that's a mentee or you can have somebody that's a friend. In a friendship, you can always tell the difference. And I tell people, I learned not to define my friendships. I learned not to define my relationships because it would always come out bad if you define it. If you say, hey, we friends, rather than just kind of letting the relationship tell you what it is, you're telling the relationship what it is. I learned in mentorships, I'm the giver. Mentorship is I need advice from you. I need this. Mentorships, there's usually a lack of revelation about giving. So the person is still a babe. So you're pouring, but you'll never see them pour back. You'll never see them give back. And if they do give you something back, it's not gonna nearly compare. And it's gonna be a consistent pour. Meaning it's not seesaw, but friendship on the other hand is seesaw. When it's a friendship, seesaw. Because there'll be times where I'm down and I need her, and my friend gonna pour into me, and she's gonna correct me, she gonna love on me, all of that stuff. Then there are going to be times where I got to pour into her. Then there'll be times where we're kind of equal on the seesaw. We're just kind of going up and down and just having fun with each other. But the seesaw lets you know that, hey, this is a friendship. If the seesaw, and I like to draw stuff out because I be having pictures in my head, but I ran out of paper over here. Give me a second. If the seesaw, let me do it on the back of this page. If the seesaw give me a second. Do me a favor, if you haven't liked, shared, do that. If you have not subscribed to this channel, because according to the stats, I got 40% of people that be listening to me that haven't subscribed. And I wondered to myself, like, what is going on with the saints? Like, why you want to subscribe? Like, I don't want to give you. Okay, is me. I want to show you this. This is a mentorship. Mentorship, you're always having to elevate somebody else because they're a victim, because they're going through something. That's mentorship. Because you're always having to lift them up. You're always having to encourage them. You're always having to do that. And mentorship, the seesaw does not move. In mentorship, it doesn't move because you're putting the pressure and you're having to hold them up. Now, in mentorship, honor is when they put pressure so they can elevate you and say, well, let me pour back into you. I may not be able to pour back friendship and, give reciprocity, but let me volunteer here. Let me help you out here. Let me do this. Let me do that. That's mentorship. That's called honor. Now, realistically speaking, 80-90% of people never move the seesaw. Right here, 80-90% of people will take mentorship and they'll never move the seesaw. So they'll never volunteer. They'll never do anything like that, which is why they end up living in a perpetual state of poverty. I'm gonna call it what it is. Friendship, on the other hand, this is going to move. There'll be times, if this is me and this is my friend, where I'm holding her up because she's feeling down. And then there'll be times where we're going to get back to this. Then there'll be times where she's holding me up, right? And so that's how you know the definition. That's why you can say, that's my friend. Because, when I was down and out, she was there. Whenever I need. Now, let me just make sure I say this. Because I know one of the arguments I've heard people say, well, my friend wasn't there for me. My question always is, did you tell them? Did you tell them that you needed them to be there for you in a moment? Because one of the things that in Christianity that you have to get delivered from, stop thinking that people are supposed to pick you up in the realm of the spirit. Stop thinking that. A lot of Christians ruin more friendships and more relationships with that type of mentality, thinking that somebody's supposed to say, oh, no. So friendship, there has to be communication. Hey, I need you in this moment. I need you to encourage me in this moment. I need you to do this in this moment. I need you to do that in this moment, or what have you. And just keep me in your prayers, or what have you. And then, people know what to do. But there has to be a seesaw. So in this, if you're having a relationship with a person, a romantic relationship, if you're always having to hold a person up, then it's not it's not a relationship. You're dating somebody that maybe you were supposed to be evangelizing. You're dating somebody that maybe you were supposed to be pouring into. You misconstrued or misunderstood the nature of the relationship, and because of that, you're in a relationship that never shifts. Marin, thank you. God bless you. I appreciate you. You're in a relationship that never shifts. Whenever you start talking partnership in marriage, or partnership in relationships, the man is the head. He's the lead. He's the head of the household. His pour is supposed to be strong. He's supposed to hold his wife up, but his wife is supposed to hold him down. And what I'm saying in this is that he's not supposed to pay for you. Like, let me say it this way. He don't have to buy your love. You're not a prize. You know what I mean when I say a prize? You're not on the corner. He's not supposed to buy your love. What he's supposed to do is he's pouring, he's leading, he's providing, he's protecting, he's doing that. But as a female, you should be doing something as well. The seesaw has to move. It can't just be he go out there and work a 9 to 5 job. He come back home, and what have you, and then you done dusted a few things, and you tell him it's some potato chips on the table that he can eat, and the only thing that you bring to the table, and they made sure they mentioned that in here, the only thing you bring to the table is a warm body, because there are honestly a lot of women who think like that. There are a lot of women who think, I bring the body. I bring the body. I can come and I can give you. I can give you a piece of me. But the seesaw, when it's not moving, the relationship is not healthy. I'll say that again. The seesaw, because there is a time, even in marriage, where the seesaw, let's say, and the guy, he gave an example of that. Matter of fact, let me see if I can play the rest of that video. And I'm doing this, guys, because I want to make sure that you understand. I don't want to make sure. Oh gosh, I clicked out of it. I'm gonna fast forward it because I've already shared it.
So this is the one thing I believe in. If I pay for somebody, if I pay for
so many people talk.
No, what do you? And this is the thing. What are y'all bringing to the table? Yeah. Please, what are y'all bringing to the table other than a body?
Exactly.
And a piece of
okay. Yep. Because here's the thing.
And some makeup and some weed.
Let me tell you, the men who are going to be exactly what you need them to be and what God is calling them to be in your life, you're gonna have to show them. And women, I mean, hear me. I'm not trying to beat anybody down tonight for the mindset that they're walking into relationships with right now. But baby girls, you gotta shift your mindset in order to get what God is creating for you. And in order to do that, you gotta come in with that mindset of, I can be this man's peace, but I can also be his peace. Okay, so and I hope that did not go over your head. But if you can't show that man that you can be those things initially, and then bring in the respect, bring in the honor, the love, the joy, the gentleness, the self-control, that opportunity to communicate with them to where they understand you and you understand them. I'm gonna tell you, in the 15 years that Joaquin and I have been together, I have learned all of that. I have learned how to be this man's peace. I have learned how to be a part of his joy, a part of his happiness, a part of that self-control. I have also learned how to be that for myself. Like, I also have to come with those fruits of the spirit in order to be what this man needs me to be, in order to be what God is making me to be for him.
Yeah. And if you have the mindset already that I'm not going to do nothing for the, it's going to be tough.
I agree. He has to have his own peace and you have to have yours. But I get what she's saying as well. What they're saying. So basically, what they're sharing is this. Peace is not just something that happens within. Sometimes, and peace is what happens within, but sometimes you can lose your peace. Realistically speaking, you go to a job, you can have a coworker, you can have a boss. I'll give you an example. My ex-husband had lost his peace. He would come home, he would be tormented by his boss. He had a female boss over him, and for whatever reason, she was intimidated by him because the dude was super smart or what have you. He was climbing up or what have you. They put him under this lady, and this lady was giving him tasks that, like, intentionally trying to fail him. Intentionally, he said that she would tell him to do something, like she'll tell him, he'd be working on a project, and she'll say, you need to have this project finished by the end of the day. Toward the end of the day, she would come and give him something else to work on. He'll say, well, I got to finish this project before the end of the day. And she was like, I don't care. You need to work on this. And it would be something that would take 8 hours, but he couldn't get overtime. So she kept setting him up for failure. Like, this woman was on him. She just kept, and he got to the point, because he had went to school, all these different countries, all these years, to become a bioengineer. He had been excellent and getting good grades. And, he was a nerd and that kind of stuff. He had been doing all of this. And all of a sudden he found himself under a woman that was determined to sabotage him, a woman that was determined. It was clear. Whenever he would come home with that frustration, I had to be his peace. Meaning, I couldn't just let him come home and I'd be like, yeah, it don't make no sense. You want something to drink? Mm-hmm. These hoes ain't, come on, here, get a 40. I couldn't do that. Instead, what I had to do was I had to sit there and I encouraged him. I let him know what spirit was in operation. I sat back and I said whatever I said, and I got on my face every single day. I went up in the realm of the spirit. I held his hand and prayed for him. And eventually, that instant, I didn't allow him to come home and bring that chaos. What I did was I let him talk about it. I encouraged him. But then at the same time, I would pray and I would say, don't worry, watch God move, watch God move. Eventually, what ended up happening was, true story. One of the guys that he used to love, this guy that was a boss over there, one of the guys, well, his overall boss that was even over the woman, walked up to him one day and said, I apologize for putting you under her. He never complained. He never went and said anything to the managers or anybody about how she was treating. The manager said to him, I see how she's been treating you. I see the stuff that she's been doing. So I'm pulling you from under her and I'm bringing you directly under me. And a matter of fact, I'm going to give you a promotion and a raise with it. That came from me being on my face in prayer. So when they say peace, it's more so talking along those lines. Yes, you come to the table with your peace, but in a relationship, there'll be times where they're gonna go deal with the crazy outside and they bring that stuff home and you like, but you have to, kind of diffuse the situation. You got to diffuse the situation. But in this, they're talking And like I said, I could tell that a lot of the stuff that they were teaching was lost in translation. Like a lot of the women were hearing like 50-50, and I'm like, that's not what they're saying. They're not talking about a 50-50. But he did mention, he said, what if, if you're coming in with the mindset that, hey, he's supposed to take care of me, he's supposed to provide, he's supposed to do this, what happens if he was to lose his job? And that is a real question. What happens if he lost his job? What would you do then? And if your mindset, Sister Yesenia, thank you, God bless you, beautiful. God bless you. If the mindset is, well, you're not providing, I'm going to castrate you, then you have to question whether or not you really truly loved him. Realistically speaking, what you have to do when it comes down to marriage, then you have to hold it down at this is where the seesaw starts moving. So let's say, I don't want to use myself as an example. I'll say, let's say we'll make up a character. We'll say Jason and Jocelyn. If we got a Jocelyn here, please forgive me. Jason holds it down. He's a provider for his household. Jason does what he's supposed to do as it relates to his wife. But one day, Jason loses his job. His wife still has money. She's still paying the bills or what have you. Should the wife castrate him and cast him away? No. She then turns over and she says, "Let me pay the bills. I'm going to take care of this." However, let me say that. However, right? She has to encourage him. All of that. However, what she should not do is start to coddle him. Meaning, if she looks up one day and she noticed that he been out of work for 2 weeks and he in there with the video game, she does need to say something. She does need to say something because hear me, I don't think people realize it is possible to spoil an adult. I'm going to say that again. It's possible to spoil a grown man. Oh wow. Right, Sister Kendra. God don't play about his. I'm telling you. But it is possible to spoil an adult. I could say my mother made the mistake of doing that with my dad. She made the mistake of waiting on my dad to get back up after my dad had worked, and my dad had at first he was a decent enough provider, I guess. Um, he had worked at Steinmark for many, many, many years. And I think he said he worked there for 14 years, but not 14 years of my childhood. I know that, and I think that's a combination with, but long story short, he lost his job at Steinmark probably when I was around 7 or 8. He lost his job over there. Once he lost that job, he didn't go out and get another job. He didn't. And whenever he got another job, I remember my mom complaining that he would get fired, he would quit, he would intentionally not show up for interviews, he would do stuff like that. So over the years, my mother became the provider for our household, while my dad just kind of enjoyed the perks of being at home, sitting around. I remember when Nintendo's came out, he was sitting there. I remember my dad sitting in front of the Nintendo was smoking a cigarette. And we complain and tell her, hey, Dad, you smoking in the house or what have you. But we kind of got used to it, even though we complained about it. I remember him sitting in the house, smoking and playing that Nintendo. He became addicted to the Nintendo game. He became addicted to sitting at home. Consequently, I've told this story before. When I ended up getting married, we had lost our job. Both of us had lost our job at the same time, around the same time. No, he lost his first. Or what have you. Then we ended up getting hired at Tom Waller Kia. And then once we got hired there, they laid us off after 13 days. So we were unemployed at the same time. And while we were unemployed, he came to me because we were getting unemployment. He was still getting unemployment from a job he had before. And, I started getting unemployment from Walmart because I had worked there for 7 years. So I started getting unemployment from Walmart and he was getting unemployment from the job he had had. And he came to me one day and he said, babe, I was thinking, he said, we need to go down to the food stamp office. And I said, no. He said, why? I said, I want to be hungry. I said, no. He said, why? I said, because I want to be hungry. He looked at me like, and this thing shocked me because usually he would have fought it. He looked at me like, well, I said, I want us to be hungry. I said, because I don't want us to get comfortable. My fear, my insecurity, and I knew it was a fact, was that if we were getting that unemployment, which, unemployment can last 6 months to a year or what have you. If we were getting that unemployment and then we messed around and got food stamps, that he would get comfortable and I could potentially get comfortable. My fear was that he would realize that the unemployment would take care, both of our unemployment checks combined would take care of our bills. It wouldn't leave us any spending money. And then, what other extra money we had coming in for food stamps, that we could just go and use that for food. Basically, he would get lazy. I wasn't so worried about me getting lazy as I was him, because I saw he had an addiction to video games. He had a major addiction to video games. So my fear was that he would go up in there, he would get on that video game, and he would. So I said, no, I want us to be hungry, because I knew that hunger would drive us out the house. It would make us go, and it worked. Thankfully, he didn't fight with me, he didn't argue with me. Um, I want to say probably 2 weeks after that conversation, we found an ad in the paper, and I may be remembering it wrong, for AT&T, and T, and I ended up getting hired at AT&T because we were having to borrow money from my mom. We were, having my mom to take me around and what have you. I'm saying that to say, I came to a realization that if I allowed that addiction to come in, which was in our both of our bloodlines, I realized that if I allowed that addiction to come in, that we could possibly get comfortable. And I never want to get comfortable in mediocrity. It's addictive. It's addictive to get paid without having responsibility. It's addictive, especially, catch this, when your mind is weak, when you don't deal well with pressure, when you don't deal well with a lot of different things. It's easy because you go out to a job, you got to deal with that co-worker that's competing, comparing themselves and trying to sabotage you. You got to deal with, all of the different things, schedule being changed, getting denied for vacations, coming to work super tired, getting overtime hours without overtime pay. There are a lot of things that you got to deal with. And if you're not careful, that can become too much for you. The person that's been working all their life, is just Tuesday. It's annoying at best. But somebody who's not doing it, that can be too much. I gotta quit for my mental health. I can't keep doing this. That's a weak mind. That's weak minded. Because weak minded people, now I've seen that growing in this generation that's coming up. There are a lot of weak minded people. They were like, I gotta quit. What about my mental health and what have you? It's a lot of pressure at work. It's a lot of this. Realistically speaking, marriage is a lot of pressure. Life is a lot of pressure. If you're going to succeed in life, it's a lot of pressure. If you say that you're called to own a business, baby, you think a 9 to 5 is pressure. Get into business for yourself. You think a 9 to 5 is pressure. Get into business for yourself. I'm saying this to say that when we start talking about the concept of partnership, please understand that partnership is not 50-50. I would admonish you, I would not fool with a guy that asks for 50% of the bills. Realistically speaking, if I'm talking to a dude and he look at me and say, I don't believe in as I believe equality with women and men. I'm like, okay, cool. Give me your definition of equality with men and women. Because if you're trying to give me, if you want me to carry something that's 80 pounds and you carry something that's 80 pounds, the Bible says I'm the weaker vessel. And it's not me trying to be manipulative, but I'm saying that it may not hurt you as it hurt me. Does that make sense? It may not hurt you the same way it hurts me. So you carrying 80 pounds may not bend your knees. You carrying 80 pounds may just look like you stretching like this. Me carrying 80 pounds may be like, it may bend me over. It may be too much for me. It may be too much for me. So I'm saying that to say, when people say 50-50, it is never 50-50. Ever. It is never 50-50. It is always going to be, if a man specifically says, give me 50% of the bills, you need to pay 50%. So if our bills are $4,500 a month, if our bills total out to $4,500 a month, and he says you got to pay $2,750, I would not fool with that man, because he's not looking for the right type of partnership. He just don't want to be a man. He don't want to deal with the pressures of life. I'm gonna call it what it is. He doesn't want to deal with the pressures of life. He doesn't want to deal. But if I'm dealing with a guy and he's saying, hey, I'm gonna take care of this, I'm gonna do this and do that, you get in where you fit in, when you fall in, y'all hear me, you will naturally develop how you pay bills. That's the natural thing. It just naturally happens. If he comes in and he has it, hey, I'm gonna provide for the bills. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. Just can't have my back if I need you. Have my back if I need you or what have you. Then I get the opportunity to be to help me. I want y'all to hear me when I say this. Do me a favor, like and share. If I get the chance to be to help me, and brothers, hear me when I say this, and I'm saying this with passion. If you allow your woman to be to help me, your wife will make you rich. If you provide, I believe this. I believe this with my whole heart. The Bible talks about the Proverbs 31 woman. That woman's out there killing things. I believe if you have a healthy household, two healthy people in a marriage, and you're respecting each other, and you're taking care, and you let her be the help me. I'm talking about if she's healthy in the head. I believe that she'll go out there and make $1 million. I genuinely, I just believe that. I believe that. I know marriages like that. I know where I've seen marriages where the woman was allowed to be the woman. She's allowed to be the woman. She's allowed to explore, to kind of play around with different things. And one thing that ends up happening is she'll become a mass producer. She will kill it. I'm talking about if she feel, I believe the one thing I believe, God, the Bible calls wisdom her. I believe this with my whole heart. And I said a healthy woman. Don't get it twisted with your last ex-girlfriend, the one that was nuck if you buck. I'm not talking about her. I said a healthy woman, a woman who's spiritually, mentally, and morally healthy, a woman who loves God, a woman who's surrendered to God. I believe wholeheartedly if she's yielded to God, if you let her be a female, I'm not just saying it. If you let her be a woman, and you let her operate in her femininity, you sit back there and you encourage her, even if you're paying 90% or 100% of the bills, one day that woman gonna make you $1 million. I believe that. I believe that one day. I'll give you a perfect example. Y'all ready? Tabitha Brown and her husband. Y'all know I've talked about them before. Tabitha Brown and her husband. Beautiful example of that. Beautiful example. If you don't know their testimony, and I hope I don't butcher it, in their testimony, Tabitha Brown says that, basically she said her husband, hey, cover me. She says, and he says, hey, she wanted to go into Hollywood. She wanted to do a lot of stuff or what have you. And so he went and he worked for the police department, the sheriff department. I think he was in the sheriff department or what have you. But he did all that. He did all the providing. He provided for all the bills and stuff like that. And then, and I'm trying to see. I don't want to butcher her testimony. Let me see if I can pull it up because it was her response to um, Wendy Williams. Let me see. Give me a second. But when she got her bag, she retired her husband. I genuinely believe, and I speak that. Okay, this is 5 minutes. I'm gonna try to get. I'm not gonna play the whole 5 minutes. We'll see commercials.
Hello there, y'all alright? Very good, honey. I was up doing a little work here. That's why I got my pajamas on in my office. And then my phone started going off, like praising people. It's like, girl, you're Wendy Williams. First of all, Wendy Williams, honey, God bless you. God bless you. Okay. And so people sent me a little clip, and I said, oh my God, the pain this woman must be in. Wendy, the pain you must be in to feel this way, and I'm so sorry. But listen, let me tell you this. 23 years I've been with my husband. Yes. Broke for a very long time together. Struggled for a very long time together. Succeeded for the last couple of years together, right? My husband took a job in agreement with me. He took a job 15 years ago to help support my dream. And I know you may not know what that looks like in a genuine place, right? But this was an agreement that my husband and I had. And I told him 15 years ago, babe, 5 years I'll be able to take you out of there so that you can pursue one of your dreams that you love. Right now, I was his dog in the fight, okay? And he believed in me. And we did it together for the last 15 years. I did every year with him at LFPD, and he did every year with me with rejection and no's in this entertainment industry, right? However, God has blessed me. He has allowed me to manifest. I've been praying on this for a very long time, and it has now come to pass. That is the power of God. It's also the power of allowing God to be first in your marriage. Okay? And that is how it remains successful. We keep him first. He is first in our marriage. Not money, not business, not success, but God. He's first. Okay? So this is my prayer for you. I pray that love finds you. True love.
I think that's enough.
You and it holds you tight. I pray that someone.
I love her grace. I love her grace. But I'm saying this to say, you listen to her testimony, that was an agreement, right? And she held her end of the agreement. Whenever, because one of the things that a lot of people think that is if I get to a space, if I as a female, if I get to a space and I look up and I got $5 million in my account, and he, or if I'm bringing in 5 million a year, and I look over at him and he's only bringing in 17,000 a year, I got to get rid of him. That is not true. That's not how you do a thing. If I got 5 million, he got 5 million. If I got 5 million, he got 5 million. That's just how it works. If I got 5 million, you can bet you by golly, wow. Now, I would train him. I I would trade the crap out of him. Hey, babe, I need you to help. Let me show you how to put the text on these logos. Let me show you how to do this. Let me show you how to do that. Let me make sure. Okay, let me make sure this. That's the example of partnership. Remember, I talked about Chick-fil-A. They got the tortilla soup. I always see tortilla and it's tortilla. Tortilla. I used to go there and be like, "Can I get your tortilla soup?" And the lady was like, "Tortilla." I'm like, "Yeah, tortilla." But they have the little tortillas that come with the soup, right? And they come in these little bags. They likely have a partner, but the person doesn't have any shares in their business. Realistically speaking, that's is more similar to what marriage looks like. Marriage marriage can be 50-50. There will be seasons where it's 50-50. There will be seasons where it's 30-70. There will be seasons where it's 10-90. But realistically speaking, marriage is a seesaw. There's a constant movement in there. However, the husband is the head. So he's going to be the main provider, in many cases, the sole provider, but it does not relinquish a woman of her responsibility. And at the same time, if he falls on hard times, so for example, let's say your husband averaged $150,000 a year and you're not working, you're kind of at home, you're home, you're home provider. And that's good. That right there, you take care of the house. Trust me, that's a job within itself. You take care of the house, you hold it down at home, and what have you. Wisdom will tell you to put some of that money up. Y'all be saying tortilla, and I'll be like, tortilla. But wisdom will say put some of that money up, right? Wisdom will say have another bank account, have some money put up. So if something happens, let's say he is what occupation makes about 150,000 a year? Let's say he's a doctor. He's a doctor. Let's say something happens where the hospital he works at starts laying a lot of people off, right? He ends up losing his job. You should have money put up. There should be money put aside for that. There should be money put up, even if he wasn't, even if he out there being cray, talking about baby, I got them J's. Babe, you can't be a little bit reckless. Buy, explore, spend, all that. But let's invest more than we spend. Let's invest more than we spend. Sometimes you have to be the one on that end. You have to be the one on that end to take the money and say, let me put this in a bank account or what have you. And if something happens, oh yeah, perfect, neurosurgeon. But if something happens, you have to be able to sit back, and you should be able to sit back and say, we all right. We all right. We all right. If something happens, you should be able to look. And the reason I'm sharing this is because, like I said, when I saw this video, when I saw like a lot of negative responses, everything she said was right. But it surprised me that a lot of women that they thought opposite of that. And like she said, realistically, now this is something I've come to realize in my own, not just walk with God, but just being a leader. I'm gonna be honest with you. There aren't that many women that are wives. Honestly, not that many women who are ready for that space. Will they become wives someday? Maybe. There aren't a lot of women that are ready for that, which is why I have a mentorship program to help people to get ready, not just be a wife, but to just be who they are in Christ Jesus. But I've come to realize just through me doing a mentorship program and through me being in leadership that a lot of women are professional quitters. A lot of women have a problem with listening. Um, their mouths are bigger than their ears. A lot of women don't know how to take accountability. A lot of women haven't healed from the traumas that they've experienced from their past, and they don't see the necessity to do it. A lot of women will put more money on fixing themselves up than fixing themselves up from within. They'll much rather buy $800 wig than to buy spend $100 on therapy, which is why we get more people arguing, more females that argue with us when we start talking about deliverance counseling. There's more women that argue because they don't want to invest in deliverance. They don't want to invest in counseling. And they're not willing to pay the money, even though they got a counselor live next door to them. They're not willing to pay for counseling, and so they try to gaslight the church into saying y'all supposed to counsel us free. Now, am I saying that men don't have their issues? No. There are a lot of jacked up dudes out there, right? If I go out into a crowd of 800 dudes, there are probably going to be about 50 dudes that are marriage material out of that 800. And I ain't talking about no unsaved crowd. I'm talking about a saved crowd, because it doesn't mean that all of them are bad guys. It just means that some of them, they're not at the feet of Jesus enough for them to even consider trying to cover somebody, because they don't respect the covering that they have. Does that make sense? They don't respect the covering of Christ Jesus that they have. They're not submitted to him. They're too busy bucking up against him. They're too busy comparing themselves to him, competing, not wanting to submit. And so they're not ready for the leadership role. They're not ready to do that. And a lot of females, a lot of women, most women, and I'm gonna say this out loud, I'm gonna say it with my chest. A large number of women who come out and be talking about these men today, men, they themselves aren't ready. And the evidence that they're not ready is because they keep dating shallow men. That's the evidence. The minute, the minute I get on the phone, I've been 9 years single, 9 years. The minute I get on the phone with a dude that's trying to pursue me, right? The minute I get on the phone with him, I genuinely, wholeheartedly, I'm not interested in being love bomb. What am I doing? I'm telling you because I want you to learn something different than what you know. I'm not interested in being love bomb. The reason I'm not interested in being love bomb because he don't know me and I don't know him. I'm not interested in him telling me when I saw you, man, I just knew you were the one. I just think you're so beautiful to me, baby. What you're doing to me, I can't stop thinking about you. I'm in love with you. What are you doing? It's Tuesday. I just want to hold your hand. I don't want all that. And the reason for that is because we got plenty of time for that. That's futuristic. Right now, I don't want to be high. The concept high means to be in love. To be in love is just, it's not love, it's not genuine love. It just means that I'm high off of the stuff that you said to me. And now that's addictive. If you keep doing that, I'm gonna get addicted to you saying that. That that's the concept of being in love. If I say that to him, he's gonna get addicted to it as well. When we're getting addicted to it, if you ever understand the concept of being high, if you drinking alcohol, guess what happens after a while? You sober up. If you smoking marijuana, guess what happens after a while? You sober up. If you on that crack or that heroin or whatever it is these people doing these days, after a while, you're gonna sober up. And you're gonna need it again and again and again and again. And then whenever the day I don't affirm you, you're gonna feel like you don't care nothing about me. Or whenever my affirmation is not good enough for you anymore because you've gotten familiar, you're gonna go out there and find another female because it's not that you like love, it's just you're addicted to that. So you'll find another female. So you get addicted to the new car smell of relationships. This is what a lot of men have this issue right now to this day. They're addicted to the new car smell of relationship. That's addictive. So after they've been married for 12 years, 10 years, 15 years, they go out and they talk to another female and she's like, you need anything? Let me just say this. You are such an amazing man of God. And I thank God for you. You're so strong and wise. And you're just this. They get addicted to that. They get that right there will do something. So that man go home, lay next to his wife, who's familiar with him, and lays in that bed and starts thinking about another female. Why? It ain't her. It has nothing to do with, oh, I'm in love with her. It has everything to do with she just fed me my crack. So the goal is be sober minded. The goal is to be able to operate outside of marriage the way that you're going to ultimately operate in marriage. In marriage, you're not always love bombing each other. In marriage, you're not always, I'm in love with you. I'm in love with you too. Oh, baby, did you clean? Oh, baby, I saw your shrieks in the toilet. But you know what? That doesn't change my view of you, okay? I saw your shrieks and everything. And I mean, even though we got a toilet brush, you can easily clear those streaks out. I just think they're so adorable. It just makes me realize you're so comfortable with me. Oh, baby, when we were in the bed last night and you were letting out that gas, OMG. I said, my baby's comfortable with me. And it makes me feel some type of way. I'm just so in love with you. I just can't stop thinking about you. And baby, and oh, those streaks in your drawers. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. You well, I think it's so cute is that you don't write properly. So you know what I do? In the middle of the night, especially when you're bucky naked, I like to get some dude wipes, right? When you sleep, a lot of times you like to sleep on your stomach, right? I like to get some dude wipes. And while you sleep in the middle of the night, I wipe you. And this is how much I'm in love with you. I wipe you and I just giggle every time I'm wiping and I'm pulling out chunks. I'm like, oh God, nobody ever taught you to wipe. Your mother surely neglected you. Okay. And I take those wipes and I throw them in the toilet. And I even put baby powder down there so you won't chaff. Or what have you. And you just snore or what have you. I remember one time I put too much baby powder down there and you farted and it created a dust cloud. I was like, my baby. At least it smells pleasant. That's not marriage. Marriage looks like you nasty nigga. Nobody ever taught you how to wipe your tail. Nobody ever taught you when you were in school. Nobody ever. Yeah, you never learned. You never you dude when you went in there. Okay, can you do me a favor when you go to the bathroom when you finish wiping? Call me in there. Call me in there so I can go up in there and look at the toilet. Okay, the amount of pour that you have does not match the toilet paper. The toilet paper, you got like a few pieces of toilet. I know you're trying to save money, but your cheap tail gonna have diaper rash as a grown man. You gonna have to stop doing that. I looked up in the toilet, you got just a little piece, but you got all them logs up in that toilet. Boy, you better get up in there. You better get that tissue. You better go all up in that crevice, and you gotta keep wiping it. As long as you see brown, you need to wipe again. If you see, you gotta wipe again, and so grab your dude wipes. That helps out a lot. I bought you a whole truckload of them. Grab them dude wipes. Grab them dude wipes. Cause that don't make sense. That's what marriage look like. Marriage don't look like. I thought about you. I was at work, and I remembered when you were sound asleep. It was like 3 nights ago. You were sound asleep, and you were, talking in your sleep and what have. I couldn't make out what you were saying, but I could tell that you were probably having a really good dream, if you know what I mean. But I laid next to you, and I wrapped my arms around you, and I just sat there and I thought to myself, how lucky I am to have this man. No, it looked like, wake up, you keeping me asleep. You keeping me from sleeping. All that snoring. You keep talking to yourself. And who the heck is Yolanda? And he said, no, we talking about, you said Yolanda in your sleep. I heard you. Right. Parenting and partnering. That's good. What am I saying? You can either have a relationship that moves. Oh, well, this is the healthy one. Or you can end up in something like this, where you sit back and you say, he's supposed to get my hair done, my nails done. He's supposed to pay all the bills. He's supposed to do everything, and all I'm supposed to do is sit at home. All I'm supposed to do is sit at home. And as long as I got my lingerie, as long as I sit up there and I'm making sure he happy in the bedroom, then I paid my rent. I paid my dues. We got to get delivered from that type of mentality. Now, I'll say this, just going back to the lunch table, and some of you probably weren't on here when we first started talking about this, but realistically speaking, yes, you can pay for dinner. You should pay for dinner sometimes. But I'm saying if a man invites you out, that means he should pay. However, there are times where you can invite the guy out. There are times where you can say, "Hey, I got it this time." or what have you. But you have to allow the man to lead. You have to allow him to display his leadership skills, because a man will always show you how he intends to lead if you let him. But if you keep taking over, you will never get a chance to see his ability or his inability to lead. If you keep taking over, if you, I'll say this, and this right here, this gonna share somebody's butt. If you keep going out with the dude and you're like, no, you paid last time, I'll pay this time, then what you're doing is you're creating a 50-50 mindset in his head. Like I said, you can spoil a grown up. I have done this with people, even as a leader. I've spoiled people. And I realized that they were spoiled because they started feeling entitled to me, my time, my resources. They started feeling entitled, and they didn't feel like they had to do jack for me. They didn't feel like they had to do nothing for me. They felt like, well, it's your responsibility as a leader, as a teacher, as my mentor, as this or as that. I feel like that's your responsibility. And I've had to literally cut people off for that reason. Like literally, I had to pull the plug on them. Just pull the plug. And when I say cut them off, I'm not saying that I had to walk away from them, but I had to like pull the plug on them. I had to pull the plug because I realized that I spoiled them. I realized that I readily availed myself to them, and that seesaw wasn't moving, which meant that I was creating a monster called entitlement. And I don't know if y'all know, entitlement is dangerous. You will create your next enemy by entitling them. You will create your next enemy. That's right. You will create your next enemy by entitling them. When I've entitled people, when I've sat back there and I made myself readily, just wholeheartedly available at all times, baby, that creates a problem because they never feel like they have to pour back. And whenever you're dealing with mentorship or anything like that, you have to pour back. Sorry. I don't care where you are. You got to pour back. You got to pour back. You got to do something. You got to make that seesaw move. And you sit back and say, well, I wish I could give you something financially. Volunteer. Volunteer. Hey, okay, I'm going to come help you out. I'm going to come do this for you. I'm going to come do that for you. I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say this out loud. And this is me teaching you. This is what I've experienced as a leader. A lot of times where entitlement comes in is if every time you ask something from me, I never say give me money. But when I ask something for you, you got an invoice for me. We got a problem. We got a problem because, again, you're starting to get entitled. You're starting to think that, well, no, those who get it, get it. Those who get it, get it. When I look into my mentorship program, I have a part of my mentorship program called MAP, and it stands for good God, what does that stand for again? Mentor Assistance Program. Good God, Mentor Assistance Program. In the MAP program, let me see. I can tell you how many people I got over there right now. Out of I think we got about 60 people that are a part of the program. I think about 70 people. We have 19 people that are part of the program, including myself. So it's 18 people that are part of MAP. That means a large majority of the people do not volunteer. People who do not volunteer, and I'm trying to show you this applies to marriage. People who do not volunteer have the greatest demands. Prove me wrong. I've been doing this for several years. The ones who don't volunteer require the most time and the most of your resources. They ain't got it yet. It does. 19 people understand. Two of the ladies on here right now volunteering, and I thank God for them. They're right here right now volunteering. They come and moderate the channel. Most of the time, I don't think to go into the chat and say, "Hey guys, I'm about to go live." They just see they got a chat open and they'll say, "Hey, Mentors live." Mentors live. I tell them that's the highest grade of mentorship is when you come and you say, I got a revelation about mentor and I want to pour back in. And that gets them closer, right? But the ones that are not there yet, and I'm not saying there's something wrong because sometimes people just feel like they got something, but the ones who are not there yet oftentimes are the most demanding. That's a baby mindset. Are the most demanding. Mentor, I got a question. Can I have a meeting with you? Mentor, I need this. Mentor, I need that. Mentor. That's a kid. In it, I don't want to pour. I want to show their faces and stuff. But in it, I have those who volunteer. So what I'm trying to say is the people that give the least that want the most. But it's the ones who give the most who require the least and they get the most in return. I pray that made sense. I pray that made sense because you can only receive once you sow. It is better to give than it is to receive. God only blesses the blesser. So as a mentor, I have to strategically sit back and say, no, 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 now I gotta shut that down. Nope, 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 nope. Why? Because my job is to get them out of the entitlement mindset so they don't always think that I'm supposed to give and they're not supposed to do nothing. My goal is to break them out of poverty, break them out of the poverty mindset, break them out of victimhood, so they can get to a space that they start to realize that, hey, if life ain't working for me, it's because I'm not working for life. Like I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing on my end. What can I do differently? This is similar to marriage. You see, the volunteers are the ones that typically, and I'm saying this, they're typically the ones that are ready for marriage because they know how to reciprocate. They understand that mentors pour in, mentors the ones who are not a lot of times, and I'm not saying this about all the students, some of them are just new, most of them are new, but I'm saying the ones who never take the time out to say, let me help out, let me do this, let me do that. They Most of the time the issue with them is that they tell them self-seeking in many cases, or they can be babes in Christ, and they tell themselves, well, I paid for the program, why should I help too? It's similar to a woman getting married and say, well, I'm supposed to help him. I gave him some cookie last night. I gave him some cookie day before yesterday night. Prosy mentality. It's not how that works. In marriage, it looks like, hey, if he out here, he paying all the bills. Okay, I'll give it to you this way. I've given this example before. I'm from Mississippi. And one of the things that I found, in the black community is different than the white community in Mississippi. But one thing I saw in the white community that I absolutely loved, I saw that because, like I said, my friendships in the school, it was 50-50, 60-40 at times, 50-50, oh, what have you. I had mixed friends, a mixed group of friends. In the white community, they had, and this is in Mississippi, I don't know if this is all around. Yeah, my white sisters and brothers, y'all can let me know. But in the white community, you will see the man go to college and the woman go to college. You will see both people go to college. And most of the times, once they graduated, they got married. She would have a business degree. She'll have a degree in business or something like that. She would sit at home. She would be the provider. Or she would be at home. The husband would be the provider. She would be at the house and she would learn a different skill rather than her. So she would take care of the house, she have the kids, but she would start doing stuff on the back end. Most of the times she would start doing stuff like making gift baskets. She'll be doing all of that stuff. They have a country club membership or what have you, they're going places. She will go up in there and she will start making money based on what she learned how to do at home. Even though she was cooking, she was cleaning, she still felt like, I want to contribute. Greenwood, 45 minutes away from where I'm from. She would want to contribute one way or another, even though her husband was the primary provider. Many cases, she would start a six-figure business just from creating gift baskets. She would start a six-figure business and she would help. We got a lot of healing to do in the African American community. We gotta heal our perspective. We gotta heal. Right, because a lot of times what we start thinking that, hey, either I got to go get a job and he got to go get a job and we got to bust our tails and work and all this other stuff, or we think if he outside and he cooking and he providing, I ain't got to do nothing around the house. I ain't got to do nothing around the house. I just got to sit back and it is what it is. I feel the Lord laying on my heart. Like I was trying to ignore him. No, I wasn't. Let me say this. Give me a second. And hear me. I ain't speaking to the women that gonna be girlfriends for the rest of their lives. I'm speaking to wives. So if you know it, you're probably a girlfriend. It starts at Proverbs 31:10. Everybody likes to read this scripture, even the women who ain't ready to be wives. Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is above, far above rubies, not above rubies, but far above rubies. The heart of her husband doth safely trust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil. She will do him good and not evil all the days of her life. She seeketh wool and flax, and worketh willingly with her hands. Did y'all catch that? Worketh willingly with her hands. She is like the merchant ship. She bringeth her food from afar. She riseth also while it is yet night, and giveth meat to her household and portion to her maidens. She considereth the field and buyeth it. With the fruit of her hands, she planted a vineyard. With what? The fruit of her hands, not her lips. She girded her loins with strength and strengthened her arms. She perceiveth that her merchandise is good. Her candle goeth not out by day, by night. She layeth her hands to the spindle, and her hands hold the distaff. She stretcheth her hand to the poor. She reaches forth her hands to the needy. She is not afraid of the snow for her household, for all of her household are clothed with scarlet. She maketh herself coverings of tapestry. Her clothing is silk and purple. Her husband is known in the gates. When he sitteth among the elders of the land, she maketh fine linen and selleth it, and delivereth girdles unto the merchant. Strength and honor are her clothing, and she shall rejoice in time to come. She opened her mouth with wisdom, and her tongue is the law of kindness, not mother effer. It is the law of kindness. She looketh well to the ways of her household, and eateth not the bread of idleness. Her children arise and call her blessed. Her husband also, when he praiseth her. Many daughters have done virtuously, but thou excellest them all. Favor is deceitful, and beauty is vain. But a woman who that feareth the Lord, she shall be praised. Give her the fruit of her hands, and let her own works praise her in the gates. What's going to praise her in the gates? Give her the fruit of her hands, and let her own works praise her in the gates. You know what I'm saying? The goal, what I'm saying in here is this. I'm trying to make sure that when you go into the concept of dating and preparing to get married, that you don't think along the lines of this pandemic that we see nowadays, this pandemic of girlfriends, women who are broken, they're not healed, and they got a misplacement of their priorities. Their priorities, like they will never be constituted in God's eyes as a wife because they will never get there. And you're gonna find them more commonly than you find wives, and they're going to be louder. They're going to create trends and cultures. They're going to say a lot of the stuff. You got to be careful not to eat from their plate. You got to be careful not to eat from their plate because the wives are speaking up. And I'm talking about the wives that have been a part, like Tabitha Brown, 23 years at the time. I'm pretty sure this was a few years ago, so her and her husband should be about 26 years in by now. But I'm saying that to say, listen to the wives because they can tell you, hey, listen, this is what it really takes, versus the girlfriend with the stiff neck that says, because if he do this, matter of fact, I'll tell you this, brothers, pay attention to who your woman listening to. If you're talking to a woman, pay attention to what she watches on TV and what she's listening to. If she's watching some ratchet stuff, be careful because all of that stuff that gets in you, if her favorite TikToker is somebody that castrate men, I wouldn't go two steps with that woman. Right, I love me some Tabitha Brown. I do. I love some Tabitha Brown. I wouldn't go two steps. I wouldn't do a two step with that woman. If I'm sitting there and I'm like, what you like to watch on TV? Reality TV, because oh, okay. And I see her and she just sit up there liking folks with women that's prideful, got their breast out, talking about something. Now these men, she's attracted to people with a girlfriend spirit. Like minds are attracted to like minds. So in that, she has the equipment to be a wife, but not the mind. You gotta know them. The same is true for men. Pay attention to what they are hungry for, to my sisters, who they follow. Pay attention to those different things. Are they accountable to anybody? Are they consistent? Dude, what's your job history look like? Because what I want to know, I don't want to hear about what you talk good about your plans. Everybody got plans. Everybody's a dreamer. I know this because I publish books for a living and I help people to write their books, right? I have a coaching program where I help people to write books, right? I've done classes. I've done plenty of classes. I've helped hundreds of people to write books. And in that, not everybody finishes. There are some people when they start off, everything they start off in a genesis of everything, they are the best, like best students, best lovers, best friends. They good in the beginning. All right, they good in the beginning. They get a job, they go to the interview, they like, I'm proficient in Microsoft Excel and Microsoft Word. Yes, ma'am. Oh, thank you so much. Oh yeah. So I my last job, I like to stay late and come to work early. And they put on such a fake voice when they come out and they get on the phone. They say, "Hey, yeah, they talk. Yeah, it sound good." Be the ones that get on that job. You hire them. They got the worst attitude. Worst attitude. Work. You come to work. Why were you late again? Like I told you, you know the issue with my car. You talk so good at that interview, and before it, when you came into orientation, it really did. You came to orientation. You talked a good game. You talked a good game. But when you got the job, all of a sudden you got an attitude. All of a sudden you knuck if you buck. Now you got your boss sitting up there like, I need to confront her, but she got loud last time. And then the boss says, I just gotta fire her silently. I gotta fire her because she too much work. Dude, you I'm saying this to say, before you go out here and start dating, know who you are. Know who God is, right? And I'm not just talking about, oh, Jesus Christ is Lord and all that. That's good. You know that. That's amazing. And you believe that and you're saved, and that's beautiful. But know who He is at His core. Have your relationship with Him so you can be content with Him. Secondly, whenever you start dating, understand that if you're dating you don't date to marry, you court to marry. You date to basically see, are you courting material? You're courting material. So if I'm dating somebody, I need to get rid of him quick. I'm sorry. When I talk like this, I'll be like, I'm scaring dudes, but it's okay. If I'm dating somebody, I'm supposed to get rid of him quick. The minute I realize he ain't the right one, I'm supposed to get rid of him. I'm supposed to close that door on him. Sorry, you know why? Because I don't want the soul tie. I don't want him to love bomb me because I don't want the soul tie that comes with it. I don't want the soul tie. I want to get to know to see, like, are you sane? Are you saved, sanctified, filled with the Holy Spirit? Can we be friends? Because if we're not making it as lovers, can we be friends? So when we're married, there's seasons that, y'all, when you're married, realistically speaking, you won't always act like married couple. You better have a strong friendship. You better have a strong friendship. I'm dating. 'Cause if I'm dating him, my first thought is just testing. It ain't if he the one. I hope he the one. No, it's really just testing the spirit. If the moment I realize that he ain't the one, he can't be the one, he ain't healed enough, or he ain't ready enough, the minute I realize that, I'm sorry. It, hey, I appreciate you, what have you, but honestly, I don't think you're ready for what you're looking for. You're not ready for marriage. Or even if you are ready for marriage, you're not ready for marriage with a full woman like me. Like, I feel like you've already climaxed in your height, but God is growing me. And so I don't want at some point that I disappoint you. And I hear what you're saying, but at the end of the day, I'm not her for you. I'm dating to say, okay, that was not it. Once I'm dating and I find somebody that is it, and we're praying and God is giving us great, there's this smoothness and what have you. At some point in time, we move over into courting. No ghosting. Try not to ghost. Unless you feel like it's necessary. There are times where somebody may be cray cray. There's somebody, but in that, then we move over to courting. And when we move over to courting, we got it. Dating, you have to have accountability, but courting, you need a higher level of accountability because at this point, you've already decided. I like his mind and where he's going, and he said, I like her mind and where she's going. and we already made up our mind that we already know that we want to get married, and we're actually considering each other for marriage. And actually we've already kind of, it's almost like the pre-engagement, we've already decided that, hey, I want to marry you and he want to marry me. And so now we're going through the steps to just kind of moving along. The definition of courting versus dating, we kind of misconstrued. So dating is basically just it's data. It's all about collecting data. So dating is just pretty much be on the phone with him, and we keep it sober, because most people don't collect data during dating. Let's keep it real. Not in America, not in the Western world. Most people, what they do is they just love bomb each other. That's it. That's what we do in the Western world. We love bomb the crap out of each other, and then we call ourselves in love, and then we have a baby. Then we end up going to child support court, getting restraining orders, and dragging a dude through court, and coming to coming to social media and then calling him a narcissist because he broke our hearts. That's what dating leads to. Courting, on the other hand, has everything to do, like, we're walking towards marriage. That means that I'm taking the time, like, he's already made up in his mind that he wants to get married, and he believes that he wants to marry me. After collecting enough data on me, he's decided that I want to marry this girl. After I've collected enough data on him, I've decided I want to marry this man. And so in the courting process, what we're doing is we're just walking toward the engagement. We're getting to know each other. We're getting to counseling. We are still collecting data. That doesn't end. We're still collecting data. We're learning, more about each other, what have you, until we move into the engagement. What correct way to date? Is it better to know the person as a friend? Yes, it is better to know person as a friend, because you can collect more data as a friend. I say this. I've counseled couples, and I think one of the things that causes a lot of problems with couples, and this just comes from not just counseling, but from my own experience. So when I was in the world, all I knew was American dating. When I was in the world, dating looked like me getting exchanging numbers with a dude, him getting on the phone, asking me questions about my life and all this other stuff, asking me questions like, what happened to the last dude? Then I tell him what happened to the last dude. And then he starts telling me that. And then before long, he takes me out or what have you. We eat or we go to the movies. And then, he tries to move in for a kiss. And if I let him kiss me, now we got butterflies in our stomach. Then he gets on the phone and he tells me, when you kiss me, this, and I say, hey, really? Oh, what have you? Then we proceed to love bomb. The love bombing constantly increases until you find yourself in the bed. But what have you? And so now you've pretty much assumed that this is the person. This is your person, but you don't know. You haven't collected enough data. There's not enough substance, and so now you over here basically screwing a stranger. You don't know the person or what have you. So what happens in it is, if I not answer that in a minute. But what happens in that is, once I start, while we're messing around and doing all that love bombing, I never pursued the data, but the data gonna come out. So who he is gonna come out. So all the different things, the issues that's wrong with him, the stuff that I could have asked in the question and answers format and stuff like that, or I could have just been patient, and it starts coming out. And whatever my issues that they start coming out, and then we end up breaking up. That's what typically happens in the standard relationships. So the correct way to date is, honestly, it's better to build a friendship first. It's honestly, it really is. It's better to have that friendship, because that's your foundation. The foundation is the will and the word of God, but this is going to be your natural foundation, is friendship. Because one thing I learned, if a guy come at me, for example, and I can't stop thinking about you, man, I've fallen for you, I'm in love with you, and all of that stuff, but we haven't built a friendship, then that's going to become the crux of our relationship. But that's emotion. And so it's not that he loves me, he's in love with me, he's under the influence of my words and under the influence of his imagination or what have you. So he's talking about emotion. Emotion dissipates. As soon as I make him mad, that dissipates. He'll go back in it when I say, hey, I'm sorry, I thank God for you. But friendship, on the other hand, doesn't dissipate, because when you're building the foundation of friendship, I've I've seen him and his thinking, and so I didn't have to dump him because he was a friend. So I didn't expect much from him. I didn't expect him. So if I'm building a friendship, if I build a friendship with him, and we're cool or what have you, we can talk and we can laugh or what have you. I'm not offended if he comes home and he doesn't speak. I'll say something to him, but that's my friend. So if I say something to him, I'll be like, "You raggedy Negro, you couldn't speak." But if our relationship started off with love bombing, and that's what I'm dependent on, if he comes to the house and he ain't speaking, that'll hurt my feelings because the foundation of our relationship is feelings. And so that'll hurt my feelings. So if I come, I'm like, you ain't gonna speak. I'll interpret that as he don't care. He might be cheating. I'll interpret that wrong. Or what have you. And he'll be like, it ain't nothing like that, Tim. You ever never thought about somebody had a hard day? Why you yelling at me? You see how that works? But if that's my friend, then as a friend, I've had experience with him probably not calling me. Um, which I don't think I have that too much of a problem with, realistically speaking, if a man is interested in you. But I've had experience with seeing all sides of him, not just the side of him that says, I'm in love with you. I can't stop thinking about you. I want you to have all of my babies. I hope my baby have your nose and not my nose. You see that? If that's the only side of him I've experienced, when I see the other sides of him, I'm not gonna like him. But if I seen all the other sides of him as a friend, I always get an example of this dude, and I'll call him Malcolm. That's kind of close to his real name, but this guy, I'll call him Malcolm. When I was in the world, Malcolm and I were cool. 3 days. It was different for most people, but soul ties are usually formed from intimacy. And when I say intimacy, I'm not talking about sex. I'm talking about intimate conversations. When you start opening your heart, the Bible says, guard your heart out of it pours the issues of life. When you start opening your heart, a soul tie can form. And so the minute you start noticing that the conversations are going like this, getting a little bit deeper, they're starting to pry a little bit more, you're starting to form a soul tie. But going back to Malcolm was one of the many male friends I had when I was in the world. And I don't remember how we met, but Malcolm had a girlfriend when we met. And I'm pretty sure I had a boyfriend. Malcolm was my dude. Okay. When I say my dude, this was somebody I loved talking to. I love talking to Malcolm. Malcolm and I would be on the phone all the time. This dude was everything. And I've told this story before, even recently with you guys. He was everything that I wanted him to do. Almost anyhow. Talking on the phone, he was masculine. He was calm and collected. He was always giving me instructions like, yeah, you got to check out for these dudes. No, that hey, you better than that. Don't let no dude talk to you like that. Cut him off. All that. Malcolm, good guy. But every time I saw Malcolm, I was not physically attracted to him. And that could be okay if you can kind of find some corner of the person's face that you're attracted to. But I couldn't find a corner. Like I was genuinely nowhere, like not even a small smidgen of a percentage physically attracted to him. He was a good dude. He was a good person. And I know that sounds shallow, but I'm saying I wasn't attracted to him. That was genuinely emotionally, mentally, I was more attracted to him than I had been to any other dude. Right, corner of his face. I was more attracted to him mentally, morally, emotionally. That was my dude. That dude. He was like a best friend. We had the foundation of friendship. That's the guy. I tell y'all. I told the story. That's the guy that protected me from going into sex trafficking. And like I didn't know what it was at the time. I'm from a small. I'm from Mississippi. I didn't know all that stuff. We were just and these people come into town and they try to invite me to come on a road with them or what have you. Malcolm was the one that stopped me. He was like, no, ma'am. He was like, no, ma'am, no, you're not going. You are not going. And he just straight up told me this dude was everything that I loved in a man. All of that stuff. He was the one. Okay. Sometimes I be wanting to say something. I be like, should I say that? He was the one that shut me up. You ever have like you that talking to person, you be on the phone with a dude and you always talking, you be the one that does the most talking on the phone and all this other stuff. You have all these males that just calling you that's dating you, or if they're not dating you, they're your friend, but you're doing a whole lot of the talking. Malcolm shut me up. The reason I said I don't know if I should say this is because some of y'all guys, you're probably at this moment like, ark, ark. I talked to my woman, she do a lot of talking, don't mean she don't like you. But I'm saying sometimes we come in contact with guys that, at that space of time at least, where I was, he happened to know more than me. He happened to know more than me. So he was always pouring, he was always this, all of that stuff. Eventually Malcolm found himself single the same time I found myself single. And I kept telling myself, man, I love this dude. I kept telling myself, like, man, I really love this dude. Like this guy is like perfect. He would say, what's keeping us from getting together? He would say that. But then I would run into Malcolm and I would see Malcolm and I'm like, I don't like him. I don't like him. Physically, like I said, I could go for somebody that I wasn't. I've dated guys that I wasn't physically attracted to. I've done that before because they had some speck of attractiveness. There was something there that I could focus on. There was something there. Maybe I could focus on the eyes and try to blot out the nose or something like that. There was something there that I could focus on. But Malcolm had a handsome heart. Malcolm had a handsome heart. I had another male friend that he was my bestie. He used to come to my mom's house and ask me to come outside all the time. We'll call him Terry. And Terry used to always ask me, Tiffany, what are we doing? Why can't we get in a relationship? This, and the other. And I would always tell him, I respect our friendship. I don't want to lose our friendship. I told him, I said, bro, you're a hoe. And he went through that neighborhood like crazy. We have had them girls acting up over here, but I was like, you a thought. Well, I didn't say he was a thought. I told him he was a hoe. A soul tie between me and Malcolm? Yes, definitely. It was a friendship soul tie. We had a strong connection. We were like chemistry wise, we were, but, but, I experienced something that made me feel like I was the most shallow creature in the world. I really did feel that way. I felt like, why can't I get past what I see? But they say that because I know, to my brothers in Christ, I know some of y'all you may be looking at me like, "What's wrong with y'all women today?" No, y'all be telling us that men are visual creatures. Like men are visual creatures. Like you see that with men all the time. Men can usually not be able to get past the exterior of a woman, regardless of what she has going on the inside, depending or what have you of his level of attraction with her, what have you. Right, mental safaris. Mental safaris. He probably would have been a great husband. Honestly, he probably would have. What have you? But I was young at the time. I was, at the stage of life, you're more concerned with what people think. I don't even know if I would find him. What in the world? I'm sorry, baby. Sounds like a firecracker or something. But I don't even know at this stage of life would I find him unattractive. I don't know. I don't know. But I just know back then, Malcolm was just not it. It was I tried. I'll tell you the truth. I kept trying. I kept trying to convince myself. I'm sorry, but I'm imagining Malcolm unattracted to many and not just you. But yeah, he was. So he was by society standards, he would not have made the cut. He would not have made the cut. And when you're young, that matters to you. That matters big time to you. Because you care about what people think and all that other stuff. What have you. So I just couldn't get past that. I didn't know how to get past that. So I'm gonna ask this question and then I'm gonna get ready to get out of here. No, I'm not gonna ask a question. I'll just say this. Ladies, if you want to be married, and let me say this because I want you to understand that the man is not the prize. Marriage is not a prize. Because one thing about it is, I think a lot of women get married with the mentality that marriage is going to be Hollywoodish. That it's going to be, we're gonna be laying around and we're probably gonna have a few fights here and there, and then he's gonna do this, and we have this overly romantic view of marriage, and I think that mentality destroys marriages. Honestly, I think that if you don't have a realistic view of what marriage is going to look like, if you don't have people in your life that have been married 30 or 40 years, you need to be able to go and sit around people that have been married for a long time so that you can kind of get an idea of what it looks like, because marriage can be beautiful, but it can also be an eyesore. Marriage can be beautiful, but it can also be an eyesore. Marriage is not always attractive. And it doesn't always look like love bombing. Marriage, you can have weeks where the couple is just, they're just coexisting. That's it. Marriage, honestly, for the most part, is a large part of coexisting. He doesn't want to be bothered by that. And if you're not dating him, you're probably just not interested. One thing about men, men will flirt, but they will let you know when they're not interested. They'll flirt, but sometimes they can flirt with you just to get your attention. I'm having to pet this dog because somebody out there popping firecrackers or shooting guns or whatever. But you have to learn how to. You have to get to the space first. Okay, Milo, Milo, come here. Should I should I choose violence? I gotta de-shed this dog, y'all. Y'all want to get violent up in here? You gotta learn how to live with yourself. I don't know what's going on out there. We got a holiday coming up. I'm sorry, baby. Right, you have to really want it, but you have to really know what it entails. A lot of people get married not knowing what it entails. They think it's just a fairy tale that you live in 24/7. You may not be in love anymore because you never really loved the person. You love bombed, and so you sobered up. That's all. When you say I'm not in love, it's just saying I sobered up. That's all it is. I sobered up. Now I know him. Now I know him, and I don't like what I know about him. But when I didn't know him, I filled in the blanks, and I fell in love with what I thought. That's all it is, and that's why I say you don't go into, it with the love bombing. You don't get into a relationship with the love bombing, and it's foreign. When I teach this, this is foreign to most people. This is foreign. Let me look at my ring camera and see what's going on out there. I don't know if somebody. I know there's some kids out there, so give me a live, buddy. Uh-oh. All right. But I'm saying this to say, like I said, I'm going to choose violence here. You got to learn how to live with yourself. You got to learn how to live with yourself. Most people don't know how to live with themselves. They don't know how to be alone. And if you don't like your own company, guess what? You're going to be a lot in marriage. Can I say this to my brothers in Christ? Because y'all be getting on my nerves sometimes with this. I love you. But a lot of times your problem is you don't allow enough space between your relationships for you to heal and you to find out where you went wrong. You don't allow enough space between your relationships. You go from one relationship to the next. And what ends up happening is if you've not learned how to be alone, when you come out of a relationship, there's a degree of trauma that you come. A lot of times people don't realize women do this too as well. But I've seen this a lot with men. I have a lot of brothers in Christ that I have fussed at over the years. Fussed at because you see them, they going through a divorce and all this other stuff. And then while they going through the divorce, they already starting to see somebody else. And I'm like, bro, let the ink dry on the papers. And even in the midst of that time, go heal. Go heal. Go do some squats. Go heal. Go do something. Go learn another language. Go do something. Take the time out to heal so that you can find out where you went wrong. Because if not, you're gonna spend all of your time focusing on what the ex did wrong. And then you're gonna come to another female and you're gonna be telling her what your ex did wrong. And the next thing you know, you expect her, and then you start punishing her and tormenting her because you're afraid that she's gonna do what to you what you did with the ex. You got to take the time out to freaking heal. Go travel to another country. Please go to somebody's country and just go live life. Go live life so you can get more of an understanding of who you are as a person. Because the problem I found in the United States of America is that most people introduce you to themselves when they haven't even met themselves yet. Most people come and they introduce you to themselves. And then when you get into a relationship, it becomes problematic because I can honestly say, not all women, but quite a few women, more women know how to sit and be alone by themselves than men do. So a woman, by the time she got her peace, she didn't sit up there and she didn't got herself together. If you haven't got your peace and you come across a woman and you manage to get into a relationship with her and she's used to peace and you start taking a peace away, you are more likely to get tossed like a booger in the wind than anything because she's already married to peace. And if me marrying you means I have to divorce peace, no. Brother Jay, why the eyes? If I don't want nobody fresh out of a relationship, fresh out of a marriage or relationship who dangling and barely dried off from the last female. You still carrying around the energy. When I say energy, I'm talking about the spirit of that last female. You still carrying around the habits and the traumas and all that other stuff. And you come to me and you want me to deal with all that? Nay, nay. Now I gotta fix all that. Rather than me getting with a dude and he got his stuff together and he didn't heal and he didn't took accountability and he's like, hey, just so you know, I don't want to do a lot of drama. Let's be I want us to be cool with each other. I want us to have a relationship where we don't argue, we respect each other, and we do that. And I said, okay, cool, let's do. And he said, let's go. And we move and we're able to move forward. And we're able to have our stops and our talks along the way. Hey, I didn't like that. Okay, I'm sorry. No, I don't agree with that. Okay, we're gonna keep it respectful. Okay, cool. Now we can keep moving forward. Most marriages, and I've drawn it out before. Most relationships don't look like straightforward movement. It looked like an entanglement. It looked like foolishness. I always draw this out, and I'm gonna get out of here because I'm hungry and I'm gonna go get the other soup. This is the life of a peaceful man or woman. I'm building for the kingdom. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. That's the life of a peaceful person. There's just straightforward movement, right? And I'm gonna say something that's gonna sound offensive, but I gotta keep it real. Straightforward movement looks like, how do I say this? God lubricates your path, meaning there's an easy flow, right? There's an easy flow. God told me, hey, I want you to work on this. There's an easy flow. I'm able to work on it. He gave me the tools. He gave me everything that I need. I ain't confused. I ain't dealing with no trauma. I ain't dealing with no crazy stuff. Easy flow. If I turn around and I come in contact now, this right here is my life. No drama, no trauma. But if I meet a dude and his life look like this, give me a second. And every one of these dots represent a season. That means that these are stops, these are pauses. He ain't moving at a fast rate. This right here is just, he in a season, he got tangled up in some mess. Now he's fighting with somebody in baby mama court. Court with his baby mama, all this foolishness going on. Then he finally get out of that, and then when he get out of that, now he dealing with some other issues, and now he got this other issue, and he got that other issue, and then he finally starts making a decision. He gets caught up. What do you think when we mix these two lines, what they're gonna look like? I can't have a forward flow with him. I had a forward flow without him. I can't have a forward flow with him because he's so used to the dramas, the ups and the downs. And you got to hear me when I say this. It is possible, plausible, and it happens all the time for you to get addicted to that stuff. Thank you, Brother James. It's possible for you to get addicted to this because it produces adrenaline. It produces serotonin. So maybe he gets used to this. All of his relationships, he created an addiction. This happens. He created an addiction where what he would do is his last relationship, he would berate, he would make his wife or his girlfriend feel some type of way. They would go at it and he would bring her down. And when she then he'd come and he'd say, listen, I love you. And then next thing you know, he pick her back up and then it's moving again. Then it's just like that. That's an addiction. That's an addiction. Rather than saying, let's move forward without all those feelings. While I may feel like I need that emotion right now, while I may feel like I need that feeling right now, that's an issue that I'm not going to entertain. Did that make sense? Right, it is. It does represent a bad heart. Does that make sense? Rather than us being able to move forward and just move, and if we're in God, God's gonna lube our walk, making it effortless. We're having to go phew, phew, ding, phew, phew, ding, phew. That's an addiction he picked up. That has nothing to do with me. That's an addiction he picked up from his last relationship. That's an addiction he picked up from his childhood. Up, down, because he don't feel safe unless he hurts you, and then you turn around and prove that you're not willing to lose him. I was married to somebody like that. He would create trauma, like boom. He would create trauma, and then he would come rushing out, and he'd be like, "I'm so sorry, baby. I'm so sorry. Please don't leave me. I'm so sorry. This, that, and the other." And in the beginning, I fed that foolishness. I let him. I'm so sorry. Coming for the kiss, want to lay somebody down, and all of the other stuff. Want to consummate the trauma. Wanted to consummate the trauma. And me, just like a lot of other women, my mindset was, okay, he apologized. I don't want this to turn into a week long or a weekend long event. So I'm gonna give it. I'm gonna do what I gotta do. I'm gonna do what I gotta do because I don't want him to feel like I'm not accepting of this. And so now I give in, and I'm like, okay, cool. So then we consummate the foolishness, and then we get to the space where we're moving good again. And whenever he needed his drug, he felt like he needed to take me down again. Whenever he needed his drug, he felt like he had to do something stupid again. That's an addiction. And I'm telling y'all, and I'm saying this because I'm telling you, I want y'all to get free. A lot of Americans are addicted to that. A lot, when you're addicted to falling in love, which I told you is just being under the influence of word, you will typically be addicted to that. You won't know how to do relationships that look like this. It'll make you feel unloved. This will make all your rejection issues, all your security issues, your insecurity issues come out. You won't know how to do it. It will get boring as heck to you. It will get boring as heck because you don't know how to be in a relationship where there is no drama. You don't know how to be in a relationship where your spouse comes home and says, "Good morning," or "Good afternoon." Good afternoon. Why you got the attitude? Nothing. You don't know how to be in a relationship. Just, hey, I'm gonna let you be. I'm gonna leave you be. You don't know how to be in a relationship like that. All of your relationships do this right here. And typically, when you're used to building these type of relationships, you always create a flat line at some point. You always create a flat line. And that flat line, catch this, is when the non-problematic person says, "You're never gonna change." Worst thing a person can ever say. This concept, this thought precedes every divorce, is "You're not gonna change." Most of the time when people are in the fight with you is because they think you're going to change. They think if I talk to you enough, if you get counseling, if you do this, you're going to change. The minute a person says in their head, the minute they say in their heart, "You like being the way that you are and you don't plan to change," they check out. They check out. Hope deferred makes the heart sick. So they just stay in there the whole time. The hope is there. Hope gives you a credit. It gives you what is the word I'm looking for? What is the word I'm looking for? Basically a credit. Hope gives you like, hey, I'm paying it forward right now. I'm gonna pay you back. Hope it's just like, okay, me tolerating this stuff is going to eventually pay off. That's what hope says. Okay, me taking this stuff off of you, eventually it's gonna pay off. It's gonna, but as soon as the thought comes in that, and you realize, you look at that person, you say, "You like being crazy. You like drama. You like this. You like that." That is when you effectively count the cost. The Bible says, before you build a thing, count the cost. That's when you effectively count the cost, because it's in that moment that you look and say, "If I stay with you for the rest of my life, we're gonna be going in these ditches that you found you seem to love. I can't see this for the rest of my life. I can't see this for the rest of my life." I can't see me going in this pit and going. I can't see this for the rest of my life. When you start counting the cost, you start panicking. Oh, baby, I can read this thing out like a science. You start panicking and you start freaking out. And that's when you really start hounding out on your spouse or your significant other, insignificant other. It doesn't matter whether you're married or not. That's what I'm saying. But that's when you really start putting pressure on them because you realize we're not going to work. Baby, we're not going to work. Babe, if you keep, no, I'm telling you, if you keep, babe, you really start, and that's when it starts getting real bad and it reaches that climax. And once it reaches that, because that thought comes in, you don't want to change. Or she don't want to change. Right? Your eyes finally open. This is going to be the rest of my life. If I don't get out of here, this is going to be the rest of my life. For the rest of my life, it's going to be this up and down. Like literally, the 5 years I've been with him, I've seen my friends be married 5 years and they bought properties. They've accomplished this. We can't accomplish anything because we're always having to go down in the pits with the foolishness. We can't even move. We can't build forward. We can't travel. We can't do anything because there's always something. Hear me. If you're married, listen to this. It has everything to do with an addiction. Everything to do with an addiction. Drama is an addiction to adrenaline. It has everything to do with an addiction. Everything to do with an addiction. Everything. And addiction comes from idolatry. Realistically speaking, addiction, idolatry, almost one and the same. It has everything to do with an addiction. Anytime, I remember a couple I used to counsel back when I lived in Conyers. The husband was addicted to drama. The husband was addicted to it. He would take his wife like, pew, pew, and he wanted to keep on. He wanted to go, and the relationship became bipolar because he showed signs of bipolarism. The relationship was bipolar, so their relationship looked like this. It looked like this. He would take her up, do all great things for her, then he'd take her down. Then he'd take her back up, then he'd take her down. Then he'd take her hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold. If you don't know what hot, cold does, it breaks. How do you get off the addiction? Get out of relationships, don't date, and chase God. Now, if you're in a marriage, then you just have to chase God while you're with you married, while you're married. But if you're on the dating market, don't date. Seek ye first the kingdom of God. Put God first. Chase God until He heals you. That comes from rejection. That comes from abandonment. It comes from a lot of different things. And over the course of time, what ends up happening is you'll pick up that addiction. I've had guys with that addiction before, and they're nightmares. But over time, you picked up that addiction through trauma, through people walking away from you, through being hurt. And what ends up happening is there are times like typically typically when you're in this space of the relationship, you feel most in danger. You feel most in trouble because you feel like, oh, is she getting spoiled? Is she getting spoiled, or is she getting bored with me? And you'll create a spike just to kind of get something up. You'll create a spike, and in you creating that spike, what ends up happening is you will make your spouse feel like you'll go do something traumatic to the spouse. You'll go do something that you'll start a fight, or you'll do something because you're trying to test their love for you. I tell people this: when you heal and you're alone and you create this is when you can find out how crazy other people are. Because most people are not accustomed to this. Like my house is set to peace. There's peace in my house. Like I don't have any drama going on or what have you. I've had people, relatives that have come into my house that we're not used to this. And they're like, your house boring. I'm like, it's not boring. They're not used to peace and quiet, no drama, no crazy stuff playing on TV. They're not used to that. And it revealed they're crazy. They couldn't stand it. It was too peaceful. It was too peaceful. It's like that. If you find peace by yourself, if you start dating somebody and you start giving that person peace, what ends up happening is they're going to create drama because they're not used to that. They define peace as you're falling out of love with me. You're about to leave me. Because people that have left them before actually started going quiet right when they were getting ready to leave them. They probably got quiet, got a little distant, what have you. So for them, they feel like So they got a trauma bond with you. They gotta keep on doing crazy stuff, and it becomes frustrating when you have peace. Hear me. I'm talking to every single woman on here, every single man on here. Before you get in a relationship, get peace. I'm talking about get addicted to peace. Get addicted to it. So if I'm talking to somebody and I could tell he ain't like he got to do something dumb. You told me that you were gonna call me at 9, which is weird to me. Now you don't call. Then I got something to say about it. You like, oh man, I was just you just see why you get an attitude. Da, 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 da. No, I'm asking you. I'm saying I'm asking you to respect my time. You could at least send me a text message because I cut out time in my day or what have you. You could at least send me a text message. No, I'm just saying that man ain't used to peace. So I realizing that he didn't call me because to him it's weird that I'm not argumentative. To him, it's weird that I'm not cutting him down. It's weird that I'm not castrating him. And so, in that, I give Jezebel back her man because he needs to be castrated in order for him to feel at peace. He needs to feel. But if he comes in a house, I'll say this. I remember my ex and I, we used to have, it was drama because he had that relative of his sister. I can say it. His sister used to interfere with our marriage every day. Every day she would call him every day, talk about me, and he would allow it. And he would just sit up on the phone and laugh while she talked all kinds of crazy stuff. And then he would always blame it on his culture. We fought like cats and dogs. I had to fight to have respect for this man because I was like, what type of man allow his sister or anybody in his family to talk about his wife? Like to come in and try to come. I ain't never seen no mess like that before in my whole wild life. That's weird to me. And his mother finally got involved. She found out about it. She lived way over in Africa, right? She found out about it, and they'll try to keep everything from the mother. That's their culture. Not where his country, where he's from. He's from Cameroon, and I don't want to say the entirety of Cameroon, but maybe his village. I don't know. But they will try to keep everything from the mother, especially when she's elderly, because they feel like it'll kill her. So the family tries to handle everything before it gets to the mother. The mother's like the last stop, especially if she's elderly. The mother was like the last stop. When I said I want a divorce, and I meant that thing with my chest, and when I said I can't do this no more, I can't be with somebody that allows another person to disrespect me, and you come home and you're bearing that same spirit that she got, you coming home, and it's just weird. I ain't never seen no stuff like that. When I said I can't handle this no more, he got his family involved. Family come in, they're trying to talk to me. I got my mind made up. They able to talk me off of a ledge a few other times. I got my mind made up at this point. I don't want to be with this man because he doesn't cover me. Like he's not protecting me. He's sitting up there. He's listening to her. He called her on his lunch break. He don't call me. He come home from work. He's on the phone with her. He didn't call. And then he come home from work and he'll sit up there. Then when he hang up the phone, he wouldn't even speak. He would just get on his computer. And then he would have, if I said something, he would have a little attitude. I'm like, why are you in love with your sister? That's some weird stuff to me. So it was a whole lot of stuff. So long story short, finally, we have went years, no peace, years. This was years of trauma, years of foolishness. This had happened for years. Finally, at this point, I had given up. At this point, I was like, I can't do this no more. I can't spend the rest of my life like this. What have you. So I ended up, he tells his brother about it. He tells his cousin. His cousin get on the phone with me. He tries to talk to me. He said, Mama, no, babe. And I said, listen, he what's in him is in love with what's in his sister. They need to be together for real. Because he doesn't treat me like a wife. She gets to make decisions about what he does with the money. She's controlling him, all this stuff. So I'm telling the brother, no, the cousin. Cousin can talk me out of it. He got the brother on the phone. Brother get on the phone. Mama. And I'm telling him, no, I'm done. I'm done. I got no problem with him. I said, I just think he need to go and follow his heart. Finally, once they realized that they couldn't convince me no matter what they said, they got his mother on the phone. I didn't speak their language, so they translated for me. And I really didn't want to say anything because I was over it. I wasn't trying to save it at this point. But I respected them. So I was telling, and the mother, he gets on the phone with her. This lady went off on him so bad. I don't know what she said, but for the first time in those years of marriage that we had been together, for the first time I felt heard. For the first time, he went into the room. He come out of that room crying because he had high level honor for his mother. He come out of that room crying. He come out of there apologizing. He says, "I have to apologize to you." He said, "My mom told me," and I call his sister. I call her um, Dana. Dana. He said, "My mother said Dana's always been trouble. My mother told me a lot I didn't know about Dana. That she's always been trouble. She's always tried to destroy marriages. My mother told me this," and he said, "I'm so sorry. I wasn't protecting you. My mother forbade me from talking to her. Literally, his mother forbade him. He was only allowed by his mother to talk to Dana once a month for 15 minutes at a time. That's how much trouble his mother said Dana was. Because most people in the family, even though they tolerated Dana, they knew not to, but Dana had a grip on him. Dana, he said, my mother said, I cannot talk to Dana only once a month for 15 minutes at a time. I cannot allow her to speak into my marriage. I cannot allow her to do this. And he was like, baby, I'm so sorry. He said, I'm so sorry. I kid you not. I kid you not. 6 months. He did exactly what his mother told him for 6 months. Dana was so mad at him, she didn't want to talk to him for the 15 minutes at a time. I think it was like 15 minutes every 2 weeks or a month, what have you. But she didn't want to talk to him. She cut him off because if she couldn't control him, she didn't want to have nothing to do with him. For 6 months, we had no fights. We went from arguing every day to not fighting at all. We went from arguing every day, me arguing about Dana. We at what point do you okay, now she tell you what you got to do with your money. Yeah, I think what she's saying is we went from to no fights at all. This man walks out of the room one day, and this is probably a few weeks or maybe a month. And he said, "Baby, do you realize we haven't been fighting?" I was like, "Yeah." He said, "Literally, we have not had one fight." And he was like, "I'm so sorry." He said, "Now I see that Dana was a problem." He said, "Dana was a problem." We like I was thinking about that, baby. We do not fight. We went 6 whole months, no fighting, no arguing, no nothing. Until Dana called him one day and said, "I'm just calling you to tell you I'm having surgery." So I don't know if I'm gonna make it through the surgery. So I just wanted to reach out. And he panicked. And he told me, "I need to go and see my sister. She's having surgery." I said, "Don't you go." I said, "Don't, this is a trick." He didn't listen to me. He got on the flight. Turned out she was just having a cyst removed from her ovaries. Not even being cut. He went right back under that spell. Once he left and went down there, I'm saying this to say, whenever you get with people, you got to look to see, are they accustomed to this or are they accustomed to this? He got to live in this with me because this is my life. I'm peaceful. I'm not the drama person. I'm good. I'm cool over here. You can take the drama somewhere else. He got to live in that. He was so accustomed to living in this with her that he was addicted to that until his mother cut him off cold turkey with it. You can get people and they are addicted to this right here and they don't know something is wrong because this is normal for them. I think immediately a family members I got, they are so used to this, and because they're used to that, I've had to put boundaries up with many of them, and a lot of them I had to cut off. A lot of them I had to cut off because they don't know how to have a straight line relationship. It's always got to be somebody talking about somebody. Always got to be, hey, I heard this. Somebody. It's always got to be something. It can never just be. Can we just live? Like, can we just build? Can we just go forward? Thank you, Toy Play. God bless you. Can we just go forward without there being any drama? Y'all do realize it is possible to coexist and not argue. It is possible because it's what is it called, y'all? It's called respect. I respect your difference. I respect who you are as a person. Is that what you think? I don't believe that. We can talk about it, but we're gonna do so respectfully. Amen. Thank you, Sister Brittany. It's called respect. I've had to learn how to, even be, a Christian, I've had to learn how to deal with other Christians that don't believe what I believe. I've had to learn to respect and just basically I don't have conversations with them in that area. And whenever if they ever get to the point where they want to talk in that area, it has to be a level of maturity where we can talk and we can disagree without feeling like we got to get in our feelings. Right? Empathy without ego. Right? And when you get to that level of maturity, I'm gonna get ready to get out of here, but I gotta say this. When you get to that level of maturity with another human being, realistically speaking, y'all can achieve a lot of things. I believe this. I believe two people who are focused on God and who learn mutually to respect each other can have the world that I'm talking about. They can build. They can do a lot of great things. But the enemy likes to do this with marriages. There's always some issue where we could have been. I could have had a book out, but we fought for 3 weeks. I could have written a book. I could have written a book and published it in the 3 weeks, but we were fighting for 3 weeks. I could have started that business. I could have launched this. I could have launched that, but we were fighting. We could have made by the year 2025, we could have been making so much money that I could look at you and say, babe, I'm bored with America. Let's go live in France for 3 months. And he's like, let's go. Mutual respect. It has everything to do with what your relationship with God and what goes on in your own heart. Honestly, it has everything to do with your relationship with God. Like if your relationship with God is not on fleek, as y'all say, if your relationship with God doesn't look, if it's not smooth, if it's not consistent, you won't have a consistent relationship with another person. And you'll get addicted to this right here. You'll get addicted to it. You'll get addicted to it. And what that does is hot cold is a demon. It's changing the temperature of the other person. That's how demons get in. They keep changing hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold until the other person either get demonized or they get off the ride. I'm saying this to say, right? Communication. I think this. I'm going to say this. I believe before people get married, before you do anything as it relates to relationship, you should take a communication course. You need to master communication, like master that thing. I believe that you should learn how to cast demons out of each other. I believe that you have to have a friendship, a strong friendship where the two of you learn how to sit back. Like if your man come running through the house, he come home and he got an attitude. It don't mess with your love life. It don't mess with you. It don't mess with it. No, it's just like, who stole your panties today? You see that? It's just funny. Not today, Tiff. Leave me alone. Oh, okay. Instead of me coming like, then I watch too many Lifetime movies and too many music videos, and now I feel like the victim. And then I put some sad music on. What is that song? A song playing in my head right now. I can't play it because then they'll flag my video. Do you mind if I tell the truth for a second, y'all? Yeah, yeah. Baby, I deserve. Yeah, baby, I deserve. Then you in the mirror feeling like a victim while the song playing, throwing water on your face. You think you're in a music video. You're creating this thing. Everything becomes drama. Rather than me just sitting back and like, oh, okay, you good? Not today, too. Okay. What the heck? Rape your sweet potatoes. He must be on his period or something. And I just sit back and I go on about my life in the house or do whatever. Most of the time, it's been my experience with dudes. Tell me if I'm wrong. That they'll usually come back and apologize. That's been my experience. That's been my experience. They'll usually come back and apologize. Hey, I'm sorry I came in the house like that. I had a hard time at work. I hear you. I respect you. And I forgive you. But I'm going to ask a favor of you. When you have a hard time, I understand that. But you got to understand that if you picked up a spirit somewhere, it's trying to get in you. Don't throw it at me. So if the spirit of offense hits you, don't throw it at me. Cover me. So make sure that's what I was trying to do. That's why I walked into the other room. I understand. But try not to be offensive. All right? Try not to be offensive. Just say, hey, I love you, lady. I just need a moment. I need a couple of hours. And I said, okay. Sister Nancy, thank you. God bless you, beautiful. I just need. Yeah, I'm not gonna cry, Mary J. Blige. Perfect. And that's exactly what women do. Women are so dramatic. Who some of y'all dudes are too, but it's so dramatic. I want to play it so bad. Just be sit up in the mirror, and then you convince yourself that you're a victim, and that creates even more drama, and it creates even more. Rather than us having that respect for each other, where I was like, it ain't worth the fight. It ain't worth it. It ain't worth the drama that comes with it. He come out of there. I just want to apologize. I'm a comedian. I was like, yeah, I kind of figured you had some logs up in there. You had the crap. Like you had a whole lot of crap that you need to get out your butt, but it was coming out your mouth. Oh, you did. You had a whole lot of crap coming. It was coming out your mouth. It was backed up or what have you. I'm like, bro, who in the world raped your sweet potatoes this morning? What happened to you? Yeah, but I'm sorry. You see that? Gone just like that. Gone just like that. As opposed to no, uh I watched a movie, a chick flick, and the lady, what she did was she got in her drop top and she drove around and she blasted that Mary J. Blige and she was on the highway crying and she was just beautiful. And then she went and she stopped at a bar because this is what y'all do. Been watching too much TV. She stopped at a bar and she got her some champagne or what have you. And she's like, and then you end up trying to mirror that, trying to mimic that. Then you come home with your eyeliner smeared and everything, and it's just everything becomes drama. I told you, use your crazy for creativity. All that put it in a book. Right. Put it in a book. Use your crazy for content. Don't use your crazy on each other. Because people just be sitting up there. I'm telling you right now, I'm gonna get out of here. I'll say this to my future husband, wherever you shall be. Don't watch too many music videos online. Because if you rolling around on the ground crying and hugging a pillow, and you got some tank in the background, I'm gonna step over you. I'm probably gonna come in there and lay a pair of panties on you. I'm just playing. I'm just saying. Like, are you serious? What the heck did you watch on TV? Get up there and stop acting so dramatic. You know, it's so simple to have a conversation. I'll come up there and lay a banana behind your butt. I'll put a condom on a banana and get some lube and be like, I want to see something. I want to see something because it's weird. It's too much. Why do you think that life got to be this dramatic? I will tell you, please go into acting. Please, I will give you. Let's go to get some acting classes because you clearly need to express yourself in this type of way. It's coming out. You've been watching too much TV. Just step. I'm telling you, step over them because it's like that's weird. That's weird. But anywho, I love y'all. I wanted to come out and talk about that because, like I said, I posted it, the video I'm talking about. I posted it, and I was surprised at the lack of engagement. And I started thinking, excuse me, I think a lot of women don't understand. I think a lot of women think that when they get married, that their husband is supposed to just do everything for them, and the only thing they're supposed to do for their husband is to sleep with him. And that's not true. She made a comment, you got to be your husband's peace. That's true. If he's out there going out in that world and he having to deal with all them demons out there, then you better make sure that you set the atmosphere of the house to peace. Don't set the atmosphere of the house to growling. And don't set it to growling. Don't set it to, he didn't even kiss me this morning before he left. And you internalize that. I can't believe that raggedy swordfish looking dude did not kiss me before he left his house. I can't believe that he had the audacity to not kiss me. And I know why he didn't kiss me. He probably up there looking at the secretary. I saw her. And then he come home from work after doing all of that stuff and going through all that hell, and then even having to deal with the traffic and all that, and he come back to you mad at him for not kissing. All right. I pray that y'all got something from this. All right, I love y'all, and we'll talk soon. I'll talk to you again tomorrow. I don't know what we're going to be talking on tomorrow. Leave some ideas in the comment section. We'll see where the Lord goes. But I pray that you were blessed by this, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. All right, stay prayed up all day, every day. All right.